Fly me to the moon, let me dream those charts. Let me see what freedom's like, without dollars and gold bars. In other words, I'll hold my keys. In other words, let's make history. Fill my wallet with coins, and let me hold out forevermore. You're the currency I stand for, all I worship and adore. In other words, I choose you. In other words, I love you. Yes, oh Bitcoin, your love is true and unconditional. You're my knight in shining armor in this dark, cruel world. I honestly don't know what I'd do without you. You're not just any digital currency. There's only 21 million of you. And in a world we share with like 8 billion freaking people, that makes you very special to me and so many other. Because only so many people can hold you. I am so happy I found you. And now you're going to one of the coins, and let me hold out forevermore and more. You're the currency I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, I choose you. In other words, I love you. I do. Fill my wallet with coins, and let me hold out forevermore. You're the currency I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, I choose you. In other words, I love you. Hodl. I do, and Bitcoin, I know you stand for financial freedom. No one else can do what you do. If that isn't true love, then I don't know what is. And you provide me with trust and transparency. We've been through the bear market, the bull market. You shrugged off those naysayers. You always came out on top. You don't play games. You are my digital soulmate. You fix the money and you fix the world.
There is no second best.
Only you. Only you. Fill my wallet with coins, and let me hold at forevermore. You're the currency I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, I choose you. In other words, I love you. In a digital wasteland, did you feel the heat trading in the neon light? Did you like coins and it's deep in the system's maze? Financial freedom, did you know, was the only way to survive? To lie, the crash, the dips, they burn it all away. No, 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 no. Neon streets standing here, we're block to block, flickering screens, nowhere to hide. Robots rise, taking all our jobs. Crypto still surviving day by day. Will you ever break free from the chains that fiat made? I want your keys. Tonight, burning money. Feel the burning money. Spending this lonely night, stacking more. Tonight, burning money. Touch me, burning money. Show me your gains with your stash, burning cash. I could never trust the system. Did you feel buried in dead end lies? You keep saying it's all going fine. Did you dream of no more banks, want your keys. I want your keys tonight. Burning money, feel the burning money. Spending this lonely night, stacking more. Tonight, burning money. Touch me, burning money. Show me your games with your stash, burning cash. Give me sets, burning cash.
What's the second button? There is no second best.
Good evening, Crypto Chaos. How's it going, everybody? We made it through the day. the first of December. Hope you guys made it out alive. I barely did. But here we are. Good evening. How's it going, guys? Crypto Chaos family in the house. Murdad, how's it going, Murdad? Let's see what happens up with Powell. Come on, man. We know what's going to happen with Powell. He's going to come out, of course, on the 10th. The 10th? The 16th? What is it, the 10th? I forget anymore. I think it's the 10th. Yeah, it's going to be, of course, the next Fed chair day decision. It's going to be a 90% chance by the end of the week, guys. I'm telling you, as of this morning, I've been telling you guys, last week it was going to, 2 weeks ago I said it was going to be 80 the following week. And then last week I was saying it's going to be 90% chance this week. And here we are. We finally hit and we're 89% chance this morning. It's going to happen, guys. It's going to happen. Again, good evening. Let's go. Let's get going. I'm already having a drink tonight, guys. I had to skim my books today to pay some profits. Oh my god, my portfolio skimmed alive. Okay, yes, train me wheeze, in other words, yes. Yeah, hold my keys, man. I just want to keep them. Okay, anyway, I liked it 4 times. Is that enough for you, Otaku Senpai? Says Jake the Snake. Of course, Jake the Snake. Don't forget, guys, to like and subscribe. Thanks again, Jake the Snake, of course, for reminding me every single day. I think I threw my floppy disk away this morning, so I'll have to go find that later. It's probably under the under something. All right, let's see what else is going on, guys. How's it going? Yes, Cliff in the chat, my robot friend. No, in a digital wasteland, 100%. The world we live in today is officially, of course, a digital wasteland. I only accept tips in Zebek, though, says Jake the Snake. You'd be willing to sing the whole song live? What?
What are you, stupid?
I don't know. I don't know if the audience would care for that, Jake. Of course, I have to tease you a little bit there. My friend, bingo card for Powell tonight. Powell's not talking tonight, is he? I thought that already happened today. It was scheduled to happen today. He's been talking in like a school. It's like a financial school or something. Is that happening tonight? He's not going to say anything regarding anything. I mean, he's going to have we talked about that yesterday. He's going to basically have a moderator that's going to make sure he's on point and doesn't take any questions that could, of course, affect the markets. Let me see if I can get that time frame on that. I thought it already happened. I don't think it would really matter either way. Alright, so he's going to be having a speech today. All eyes are on him. You already spoke. Hoover Institution at Stanford University, right? That's the one you guys are referring to? I guess this one here. This one. Oh my God, I'm not paying you anything. What the hell? I show it for a second, then it's gone. I gotta get my my shit in gear here. Let me see. Get back in here real quick. Get to the right screen. That would help too for you guys, so you're not seeing the dancing mascots dancing over everything. Be gone with you. Be gone with you. All right, here we go. All right, where did it go? Jerome Powell speaks live at Hoover Institution at Stanford University. This happened 3 hours ago. And it's broken, I guess. The link is broken. Let's take a look and see if I can find another one. I'm sure I could just find this over on the tubes, guys, on the tubes. Like I said, he's not going to say anything about the markets. He's just going to be talking to hopeful use. And he's probably going to say something, he probably won't say the truth out loud, which is, of course, this.
The U.S. federal government's on an unsustainable fiscal path, and that just means that the debt is growing faster than the economy. We're borrowing from future generations.
Oh, well, yeah, we're actually borrowing from you. He's actually talking right now, apparently. 3.5 people, 1,000 people watching.
So
This is
I've
even
been
live.
an admirer of George Shultz since my college years. I saw him then and now.
And he's reading someone else's excerpt, it looks like. This is the Associated Press. So, yeah, this is a reputable source. Actually, Martin Lucas is also watching it, too. I guess we can
And just to
dive
be clear,
in.
right at the start, I faced the world after college. I had
Here we
no
go, boys.
real plan, but I knew that I wanted to combine a private sector career with public service. And I had in mind a few well-known public figures of the era, especially George Shultz, who by then had left to go to Bechtel, whose picture, as I recall, was on the wall of the Princeton Eating Club, of which both of us were members, the Quadrangle Club. George may also have caught my attention because my dad was a labor lawyer who represented one of the major steel companies in collective bargaining. Like George, my father had both a belief in the collective bargaining process and a deep respect for workers. So I followed George's career with interest through the years. It didn't occur to me that I would ever have the honor of meeting him. But I did meet him after I joined the Fed in 2012 as I visited Stanford from time to time. And I remember energetic economic discussions at group lunches in the conference room at Hoover. George was also kind enough to host John Taylor, Michael, and me for a chilly round of golf on a rainy March day. So today our focus is on George Shultz's extraordinarily broad economic accomplishments. But I also want to celebrate the remarkable man and policymaker that he was, and several things stand out for me. He was a man who combined strong principles and unshakable integrity with common sense and practical problem-solving approach to policy. He had a deep belief in the wisdom of markets and a desire to let them work whenever possible without government direction. And that theme runs through many of the issues that we'll discuss today, including collective bargaining, wage and price controls, and exchange rates. But he was not an absolutist, and he saw that there are sometimes market failures that do require being addressed by public policy. As one of the most successful policymakers of his era, George brought the intellectual rigor of an academic to the practical, constrained, messy work of policymaking. Through 4 cabinet appointments, he dealt with many of the great issues of his day with remarkable success. And he kept at it long after leaving public office, making important contributions here at Hoover on healthcare reform, climate change, nuclear disarmament, and other areas. He may be less well known for this, but George Shultz was deeply concerned about racial discrimination in the workplace and in our society more broadly. He consistently and effectively used his positions of authority to increase opportunities for minorities. And he later noted that there was both a moral and an economic case for this. He stuck to his principles while also treating people with honesty and respect, including those with whom he had policy disagreements. Labor leaders welcomed his appointment as Secretary of Labor, and as many of his contemporaries remarked, faced with divergent views and difficult issues, he was extraordinarily good at steering people toward agreement. A key part of that strategy was to let the parties reach the final agreement themselves. That way, they owned the agreement and were more likely to honor it. His friendships and collaborations were beyond number and knew no partisan bounds. He often said that trust is the coin of the realm and that good things were only possible where there was mutual trust. His integrity provided the basis for that trust. All of those who aspire to serve the public can learn from his example.
Thank you. George Shultz's professional training, labor economics. Mr. Schultz earned his doctorate from MIT in 1949, taught at MIT for 9 years, then moved to the University of Chicago where he served for 11 years, 6 years as Dean of the Business School. Jay, labor economics, the importance of labor in the last century. Help us reconstruct that intellectual world.
So it was such a different world. Private sector unionization today in the United States is under 6%. In those days, it was around 30%. And collective bargaining for the major manufacturing unions in steel and autos and things like that, that was front page news everywhere. The job of the Secretary of Labor in any administration was to know the labor movement, know the leaders, and understand what they wanted. It was a very, very different time. And of course, George Shultz had studied collective bargaining. That was one of his main topics in his work as a labor economist, and he was extraordinarily well qualified to face the challenges of a labor secretary, and indeed went to Los Angeles to talk to President-elect Nixon, just to make sure that President-elect Nixon knew what George's views were on labor economics.
And he's a labor economist. This is the middle of the last century, when there's a great debate about labor taking place in the world. The communists had a certain view about labor. Workers of the world unite. This is Mr. Schultz. I'm quoting an interview he gave when he was here at Hoover, looking back over his career. The Chicago School stood for the fundamental value of freedom and free markets, close quote. Mike Condi, how did he integrate this belief in free markets into labor economics?
Well, let me start by saying that when I was asked to be Secretary of State by President Bush, actually the only person I called to ask about the job was George Shultz. And I said, so George, what do you think? He said, well, it's the best job in government. And I said, well, George, you should know, because you've held almost every other job in government. But the reason that he said that is perhaps part of the answer to your question, Peter. He said that he always fundamentally believed that the United States had the right foundational principles, and that was much of the reason for our success. One of those foundational principles was, of course, the free market. And of course, the Chicago School, spread particularly in Latin America and other places, had, he thought, the chance to bring other countries out of poverty, to use their resources best, and to gain prosperity. But he also believed in the inextricable link between free markets and individual liberty. And that reflected in the way that he took on the challenge, of course, being the Secretary of State as the Soviet Union was beginning to go into its twilight. We forget that George's first years as Secretary, the Soviet Union was a bit on the march. It was 1982, 83, 84. The sense that the Soviet Union was really the future. And from George's point of view, this was nonsense. And this is something that he shared, of course, with Ronald Reagan. That this experiment, as Reagan had called it, this experiment that was practiced on a hapless people, would end up on the ash heap of history. Now, George, who was a great diplomat, would never have said it so boldly as Reagan did. But because they believed in the fundamental principles of the free market and individual liberty, the Soviet Union was on the wrong side of history. And they were, together, perfectly willing to say that, perfectly willing to challenge the system. There's a story that Mike likes to tell of George meeting with Gorbachev and saying to Gorbachev, you know, that central planning thing that you've got going, maybe you'd better take off with planning, because you all aren't doing it very well. And can you imagine Gorbachev at that point thinking, who is this guy and why is he telling me about my own economy? But because he had been a great economist, because he'd been Secretary of the Treasury, I think George was able to bring this knowledge of how the free market worked, along with his belief in the free market, and his belief in individual liberty to really challenge many of the assumptions about the strength of the Soviet Union at that particular point in time, and then to be there, of course, for the beginning of the end.
Mike, a question for you on the longshoreman strike. Let me set it up. The Nixon years, just after George becomes Secretary of Labor under President Nixon in January '69, he finds himself confronted with the longshoreman strike. He's under intense pressure for the government to intervene, but he insists on keeping the federal government out of it, forcing the longshoremen and management to the bargaining table on their own. Instead of damaging the entire economy, the strike settles just a month after George Shultz takes office. Why was that such an important episode?
First of all, it set a really important example. Number one, that government intervention sometimes can be an obstacle rather than a provider of successful outcomes. Number two, it's really important because it signaled that people could make their own decisions and would be forced to if they were confronting each other rather than wait around for the government to come in. They wouldn't make their best offers, they wouldn't get serious. This became very clear to me. I was a beneficiary of George's advice and friendship, and we did a lot of things together over the years. Maybe talk about that a bit later, but it becomes really apparent when you're dealing with a whole different context than people that aren't used to thinking about markets, people that aren't used to thinking about individual incentives, people being able to think that way. And that goes back to your and Jay's comments and Condi's about his being an economist. He was used to this idea that people were trying to do the best they can themselves given their environment, and that if you let them do that, that would collectively lead to the best possible outcome. Kind of a basic theorem of basic economics, which some people forget. And there's always a pressure for the government to do something. If you know, all of us have been, Jay still is, but we've been in public office, and the first thing every morning in the briefing room is what's the president going to do about X? And it could be anything. It could be anything the president shouldn't have any worry about, shouldn't even know about. But so it's important to set that example and to let things play out until there really is something that you desperately need the government to intervene for, if that happens.
Two incidents in the Nixon years that are less, strictly speaking, economic than social. The Philadelphia Plan. In the spring of 1969, George Shultz issues the Philadelphia Plan, which requires federal contractors to hire minority workers, and he famously makes the remark that he's not imposing quotas, he's ending a quota, and the quota that he was ending was on black workers, and it was 0. As Secretary of Labor, he also ran the White House Cabinet Committee on Education, which was charged with developing a strategy for the peaceful integration of schools in the 7 states of the Deep South. He ended up running it because Vice President Spiro Agnew wanted nothing to do with it. He was given the chairmanship and never turned up for any meetings. There's a famous moment, I heard Mr. Shultz himself tell this story. George Shultz has the chairs of the Mississippi Committee come in. It's a white man and a black man, and he has them sit down together in the White House. And as they get close to an agreement, Secretary of State leaves the room. And I'm quoting George Shultz here. I learned long ago, you mentioned this in your remarks, Jay. I learned long ago that when parties get this close to an agreement, it's best to let them complete their deal on their own. That way the agreement belongs to them, close quote. By the end of the Nixon administration, this is a statistic I found staggering, I wasn't aware of it, more than 90% of black children in the South were attending integrated schools. All right, he's a labor economist, but in the Philadelphia Plan and in the integration of schools in the South, he's solving social problems. What's going on here? This has something to do with his own principles, with the respect in which everyone holds him. Jay, would you like to address these episodes?
I would. So this is something that people need to know more about George Shultz. This is an extraordinary accomplishment, and it is consistent through his career. He started the first minority program to bring kids into the University of Chicago Business School and many other things along the way. But in this case, Brown v. Board is decided in 1954. This is 15 years later, and there's 7 southern states that have just not desegregated their schools. The Supreme Court makes it clear that the argument is over and we're going to do this. George Shultz he takes over this commission, and he picks a black person and a white person from each of the 7 states. He gets them together, and they figure out how to do this because they now know this is going to happen, and he gets them to realize that, and the whole idea is this has got to be done without violence, and he manages to get that done. It's an extraordinary accomplishment. How did he do it? This is the sort of the full Schultz playbook of bringing people together, treating them with respect, empowering them, enabling them to take on this terrible, difficult issue. And it really worked. I mean, the schools did open without violence in these 7 southern states, and it's quite a remarkable story, and he really made it happen. So quite extraordinary.
Well, actually, I lived it.
Yeah.
Because I was a kid in elementary school in Birmingham, Alabama, in the early 1960s. And Brown versus Board of Education 54, essentially nothing happens in integration of the schools, despite the striking down of separate but equal.
They just ignored it.
They just ignored it, just ignored it. And then finally, after the Supreme Court, so they came up with this plan called, just before George's intervention, called choice. Now, choice is a good thing these days. In those days, it wasn't a particularly good choice because good idea, because the idea was probably white parents would choose to keep their kids in white schools, and black parents would choose to send their kids to white schools. As it turns out, nobody chose to do anything. And this is actually kind of a funny story, a few poor teachers were sent to integrate the faculties of these schools. And my mother was one who was going to be sent to a white school.
Really?
Yes, my father was terrified because he was worried about the potential violence. As it turns out, my mother didn't go, but they sent this poor white woman to our school at Druid High School. And I felt so bad for her because everybody just treated her really, really badly. You know, she was the only one. So this was going pretty imperfectly. And I think one reason that, I told this story to George, and I think one reason it was important to get people together and then get a plan for how to do this, which is what the Philadelphia plan really was because it was going nowhere, and to the degree that it was going anywhere, it wasn't going in a very good direction. And so George and I would kind of laugh about my own personal experience in what was going on in the South before the Philadelphia plan.
You know, it's worth mentioning that affirmative action has gotten a bad name of late, and California voters have rejected it twice, and perhaps it went overboard a bit. But back then, in the Philadelphia building trades, there was a quota of 0 African Americans. And so economists hate quotas. And a quota of 0 is a bad quota, just like a quota of a large amount. Okay, so I think it reflects back on his thinking as an economist. And as Jay said, there was obviously a moral as well as an economic justification.
Well, I think he felt the moral side very strongly because both in the Philadelphia plan and in the work with the school system, because again, it went back to George's view that America was the hope of the world. America was the place that had gotten mostly right, but there were times when America had not gotten it right, and on this, we had not.
Back to economics and the Nixon administration, and here I'm going to ask the 3 of you just to give me a seminar. We've got the closing of the gold window, and we've got wage and price controls. So I'll set up with what I know, which is very little. In 1970, Mr. Schultz becomes director of OMB. He's one of a circle of advisors, including Secretary of Treasury John Connally and Undersecretary of the Treasury Paul Volcker, who advised President Nixon to end the convertibility of the dollar into gold. President Nixon closes the gold window on August 15th, 1971. I'm going to quote Milton Friedman, his observation on this, quote, "The closing of the gold window opened the way to a free market for the dollar where there was none before," close quote.
Now we got a really good
Again,
question,
we're dealing
actually.
with something here so foreign to the way we do business and think about the currencies today that it requires a little bit of effort simply to take us back to the moment when the dollar was pegged to gold and what the debate concerned, why it was important. Who would like to take on? Mike,
I guess I'll start. So if we go back to the end of World War II and what George and Condi like to call the Global Economic and Security Commons was established, the International Monetary Fund, the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, and the World Bank were established. And we established the dollar as the centerpiece of the exchange rate system. Most countries would have fixed exchange rates, and the US would peg the dollar, exchange dollars for $35 per ounce of gold, and it pledged to do that for the foreign reserves, dollar reserves of foreign countries. So this again was George in the international arena as well, because it affected other countries. Now,
that enabled us to backstop economic growth across much of the world. Is that the idea?
It's a little more complicated than that. And I don't want to bore people in the audience with this. But what it meant was
I think they already have
other countries and could not have an independent monetary policy along with the fixed exchange rates and free capital flows. Because if their interest rates were lower than ours, capital would flow out. They'd be pressured to devalue their currencies, and the opposite if their interest rates were higher than ours. So it created quite a conundrum, and we've seen that in more recent years when countries that had pegged their currency, the dollar, ended that, and we've seen what happens. It was a little chaotic. So this, I think, was a major move. There had been a big intellectual debate for decades in economics about whether fixed or flexible exchange rates were better, and I think the flexible, market-oriented approach wound up winning, I think, to the world's advantage. So that was part one. Part two was because of this sudden change, and the dollar, we weren't going to exchange $35 for an ounce of gold anymore. Foreign holders of U.S. dollar reserves were going to be in a pickle. And so they had to we couldn't revalue the dollar, they had to revalue against us. And so what happened was President Nixon imposed a 10% import charge that was going to be removed if and when they revalued their currencies appropriately, which is what happened. And within 18 months, the world kind of came to a bit of a equilibrium and things were going okay. And then a year later, we had the oil shock Jay referred to earlier.
And so I can't resist asking the chairman of the Fed if it worked. If we hadn't had the oil shock, it was a good idea.
We were going to switch to a floating rate system eventually. Milton Friedman was right about this, and it was a good thing that we did.
Okay, so this brings us, Condi, would you hop in on the gold window?
Which person here is not like the others? I'll leave that to the economist.
All right, then the wage and price controls, again, I'll set it up. President Nixon imposes wage and price controls. Director, as he was then, director of the Office of Management and Budget, George Shultz opposes the measure, but finds himself overruled by John Connally, as Secretary of the Treasury, and Richard Nixon. In 1972, George Shultz himself becomes Secretary of the Treasury, and by January 1973, he had abolished most of the mandatory controls. He abolished the controls entirely in April 1974, just before stepping down as Secretary of the Treasury in May. So again, it is inconceivable. The notion that a president of the United States would impose wage and price controls strikes me as inconceivable now. So we need this sort of reconstruction of what were they thinking. And then also, is it fair to see this this episode as a kind of the old statist view represented by John Connally versus the new Chicago school thinking in terms of free markets represented by George Shultz? Is it as simple and straightforward as that? Mike, do you want to take a shot at this?
For many, many decades, economists have debated, and we thought we had won this battle, but it's come back several times since, the propriety of using what's called incomes policies, which were basically the government jawboning business and labor, which may have made sense in an economy where a large fraction of the labor force was unionized. Unions were very powerful. If it made sense at all, that's when it made sense. But in any event, we wound up in this situation where we had just a remarkable series of key intellectuals coming to the conclusion that we weren't really sure what we could do about inflation and unemployment occurring at the same time, We had to do something. We didn't want to inflict any pain about disinflating the economy and causing a recession. We couldn't use monetary and fiscal policy very well. And this became a big debate. And we thought it had ended successfully with the end of wage and price controls, but it came back. In fact, when I was advising candidate Reagan in 1980, the campaign asked me to debate Walter Heller, who'd been President Kennedy's chair of the Council of Economic Advisors and a key architect of the Kennedy tax cuts, on this precise point. And you had, like the head of the AFL-CIO, key industrial business leaders, like the heads of DuPont, Lane Kirkland and Ernest Shapiro, deciding they would decide what to do with the government in the room, kind of getting back to the point Jay made earlier. And fortunately, that didn't happen. We had a successful, if painful, disinflation. But I'll turn it back to Jay, because I know he has some.
Yes,
as well.
you have plenty to say about inflation,
So,
Jay.
I mean, the interesting thing to me is that, as Michael pointed out, there was almost a consensus that we needed income policy. In other words, that the government needed to jawbone companies informally, at least, let alone, and then maybe would eventually need to do wage and price control. So if you go back to 1966, George Shultz held a famous conference with another University of Chicago person, and it was on guidelines. And the big names of the era debated. Milton Friedman famously debated Bob Solow over this, but people really thought that there was a problem to solve. There was general agreement that the problem of high inflation and high unemployment, that fiscal policy wasn't going to be able to handle that, monetary policy wasn't, so you needed the government to somehow do this. This was a bad idea. It was a really bad idea, and somehow it had become approximately conventional wisdom in these days. Milton Friedman, of course, was a big exception. George Shultz was on the right side of that. Paul Volcker was on the right side of that. But to me, there's a takeaway there, which is that, our understanding of the economy is ever evolving. The economy itself is ever evolving. So I think we always, those of us who are doing economic policy, have always got to remember that the structure of the economy is always changing, and that our understanding of it is always highly uncertain. So certain things that are sometimes accepted as conventional wisdom, people will look back in 50 years and think, like we're doing with wage price controls, they're going to say, what were they thinking at the time? Well, that's what they were thinking. They were thinking it was really the beginnings of stagflation, high unemployment and high inflation. What do we do? Very difficult problem. And Paul Volcker kind of had the answer and eventually did it. George Shultz deserves credit for supporting him, and Reagan deserves credit for supporting him as well.
Yes, Condi, first.
Yeah, I was just going to say that this is also quintessentially George Shultz. So he lost the argument. But he understood who was elected, and he was able to bide his time, and then when he had the opportunity, he worked to move things in the other direction. But George was, in that way, quintessentially a pragmatist always, also.
He played a long game.
He played a long game, and I think it isn't as well understood that when you're in government sometimes, you're going to win some and you're going to lose some, but if you never lose sight of what you think is right, you might have a chance to correct it. And I know that the wage and price controls, for George, this was really an anathema. And he
I just want to know,
arguments
why
that he
2%?
was
Why
most
2%?
unhappy that he lost, because he thought it did great damage. But when he had the opportunity, he reversed it.
So
They are going to have a Q&A after this, so you guys know.
Respect to Condi's comment about winning some, losing. We always thought we were doing well if we were above Shaq's free throw percentage. But it's important to remember what was going on in the economy, as Jay has mentioned. Nixon imposed wage and price controls when inflation got up to 4%. It's important to have that historical reference in the back of your mind.
So, thank you for the seminar. What I hadn't realized is the extent to which there was a debate going on within the discipline of economics when the shock hits, which means you don't have, I don't know how to put it, I don't want to use the word establishment, but you don't have consensus on how to respond when the oil shock hits. In the 70s, the economy is taking one blow after another, and the economists there's a debate about what should be done. There's a kind of uncertainty. Is that fair? A fair description?
Absolutely.
All right. So then we get to Ronald Reagan, and I hadn't thought of it this way before, but this is a moment when one side wins The debate is one way of thinking about it. George Shultz, before becoming Secretary of State, which he did about a year into the administration, he chaired President Reagan's Economic Policy Advisory Group, a group that included figures such as Milton Friedman. This is Mr. Shultz in a 2000 interview talking about those times. The advisory group said the essence of the inflation problem is monetary policy, and to deal with it effectively, you've got to discipline the money supply. People warned President Reagan that if he did this, there's likely to be a recession. By the way, I was there for that bit, and people did warn him just that. Back to George Shultz, but he did the right thing, and we did have a recession, but inflation dropped like a stone. And that has been one of the primary reasons why our economy has been as strong as it has been, close quote. So from
Because we don't have real recessions anymore.
And price controls to the moment when Ronald Reagan backs Paul Volcker in disciplining the dollar represents an intellectual, it's not just a it's an intellectual victory. Is that right? Am I understanding that correctly, Mike?
In that 10-year period, we also had President Carter in 1979 go on national television, complain about high inflation and malaise, and said the Fed should lower interest rates to reduce inflation. So there's a lot of misunderstanding in the polity as well. But it's a remarkable transformation. In 1979, this goes back to Condi's discussion of George liked to garden, but he also did that in economic policy. Not only bided his time and changed things when he had the opportunity, but he prepared. And so in 1979, we had a dinner with candidate Reagan, and he invited myself and Milton Friedman and a couple of other economists to kick the tires about supply-side economics and about inflation. And I was very much impressed because Reagan's knowledge and subtlety of understanding these things, the depth of understanding was quite a bit different from the caricature of his portrayal at the time. And so I think that George was preparing for this moment and letting Reagan talk to some people that he came to respect, that worked with him and for him, and developed an understanding. And Reagan also had very strong principles, and he understood how serious high inflation was. Keynes, in a remarkable book, 1919, saying what will happen from the Treaty of Versailles, hyperinflation, et cetera, from Germany, that will destroy the society, quoted Lenin's injunction that debauching the currency is the surest way to destroy capitalism. And so it's a very, very strong sense in Reagan that we have to, at the time, inflation's double digits. And it had been rising at the same point of every business cycle since the 1960s. If you measure the trough, the midpoint, or the peak, it's going up and up and up. And it peaked at around 13%. And so there was a desperate need to disinflate the economy. It was painful, but it was the right thing to do.
Condi, you remember those, well, you were still at Denver, weren't you?
No, I'd just become a faculty member at Stanford and was trying to buy a house. And I do remember
so you do remember inflation.
I remember it very, very well.
You remember interest rates.
But I was going to make a point about George in this regard, because we all know that George Shultz was a very fine public servant, and it was mentioned he was also an academic, and he cared about these intellectual debates. He cared about winning the debate with ideas. It wasn't name calling. It wasn't, you're just...
We don't have real debates anymore.
He actually liked to get ideas on the table and debate them. And he liked to debate them with people who disagreed. And when he had an opportunity with Reagan, he brought people together for Reagan to listen and to hear the ideas. And Mike mentioned this because you were there. I would see it later with George W. Bush. And that George would bring together these groups of people for these politicians, and he would count on the ability to convince and persuade through good ideas to really challenge people who wanted to be the elected officials who were going to carry out policy, to really understand what they were listening to. And I have to say the Hoover Institution played quite an important role in this, people like Milton Friedman and others, Mike Boskin. But it was George who would convene these people with people who were going to actually be in government, who were actually going to run for office. We sometimes, as people in the academy or people who, like Mike and I or Jay, have served in government, people say, well, I like policy but not politics. Well, unfortunately, policy has to go through politics to actually become policy. And George understood that, and so he often spent a lot of time with the people who were actually making decisions, trying to convince them. And it's, with Ronald Reagan, he found somebody who had everything that needed to change many of our assumptions about the way the world worked.
It wasn't just in Washington. The second time George dragooned me into doing something. The first time when his Treasury Secretary called me, I'd never met him, and he got me involved, Marty Feldstein, as the advisors to a commission to talk about the benefits of philanthropy and the benefits of the tax deduction for raising lots of money for charities, probably more than the government.
Do we
was
have
using in revenue
philanthropists
by allowing
anymore?
the
I don't
deduction.
think so.
Then a few years later, it was to go up to Sacramento, talk to then Governor Brown in his first of his two two-term stints as governor. And California was running a large surplus. We had a very high inflation. The tax brackets weren't indexed, so revenue was rolling into the state, and property taxes were going up because they were being revalued. And the governor wanted to convince us to back him running a bigger and bigger surplus, and which I think he wanted to do to later on have an even larger tax cut and run for president. But in any event, so we went up there, and a cute anecdote is at the time he was dating Linda Ronstadt. And so
Governor Brown.
Governor Brown, not George. Absolutely. Absolutely. Obi wouldn't have gone for that. And in any event, and so lunch was kind of dietetic. He was in training. In any event, we thought this was a bad idea, and that's one of the untold stories of how Prop 13, the California's property tax revolt and initiative that limited property tax increases, happened because this was going on while the state had a gigantic surplus.
Jay, can you work Linda Ronstadt into?
I don't think I can.
Oh, all right. So when you look back on this episode with Nixon, which I now see actually, it's important to understand it as part of a continuum from Nixon wage and price controls to what takes place in '81, backing Volcker to shrink the money supply. I'm struck that again and again, George Shultz is there. Furthermore, that we think of him so often, people emphasize character, which is totally fair and true, of course, but he took the life of the mind, this is the point Condi made, he took his intellectual life extremely seriously. And we've got this intellectual project taking place at the University of Chicago. They believe they reach conclusions, Milton Friedman and George Stigler and George Shultz. And then it's George Shultz who has this kind of genius to take the intellectual findings and work this strange territory between intellectuals and office holders to get the right thing done. So what does that, now I know you knew George Shultz the least, but I actually find that a striking datum that you took the time to fly out here because he means so much to you as an example. So what does that tell us about the way an intellectual, an academic goes about public service at its best?
So he obviously got the big things he got right. So collective bargaining he got right, exchange rates he got right, wage and price controls. He was right on those issues, and history has very much vindicated that. And of course, he was a great Secretary of State and helped end the Cold War. Maybe we could be here just listing his, let alone discussing his many accomplishments. But I would say as important as his extraordinary achievements is the way he approached public policy. I am very, it resonates very much with me that the way he brought people together with respect and integrity and wound up being able to foster agreements on super difficult issues like this desegregation of the schools in the Deep South and many other areas. He was an extraordinary public servant, even if you didn't agree with those policy conclusions, which I did. So that's another aspect.
Yeah, he continued to do that until very late in life. I mean, he was convening things at Hoover. He was a huge presence here. He often convened groups on various issues. I was privileged to do many, sometimes with colleagues here, especially John Cogan and John Taylor, on economic stuff. But he always tried to get alternative points of view. He tried to get people debating and discussing, and he tried to get people in a conference room we had called the Amberg here, and we would sit there and we'd understand facts and theories and data and history and debate about what the best path forward was on a variety of pretty complicated issues that often don't have just singularly clear conclusions, but have trade-offs, involve something else that being an economist teaches you to pay a lot of attention to.
George Shultz's teacher. George Shultz becomes Secretary of State in 1982, and he serves until the end of the Reagan administration. Most of his work as Secretary of State will belong to the third of these conversations about him. But there's an episode or an aspect of his time as Secretary of State that shows George Shultz right back where he started, teaching economics. I'm quoting now from The Cold War by John Lewis Gaddis. Gaddis notes that as early as 1985, Secretary of State George Shultz began telling General Secretary Gorbachev that the Soviet Union would continue falling behind as long as it had a command economy. Now I'm quoting Gaddis. "You should take over the planning office here in Moscow," Gorbachev joked, "because you have more ideas than they have." In a way, that is what Shultz did. Over the next several years, he used his trips to Moscow to run tutorials for Gorbachev and his advisors, even bringing pie charts to the Kremlin. Gorbachev proved surprisingly receptive, close quote. Condi, this is, I mean, it sounds almost like a Monty Python sketch, but it happened.
Right. And look, I think this is one where George had mixed results. And I would say they were mixed results because it was very hard to penetrate the Gorbachev or any of them, the idea that this thing called capitalism and markets could actually make everybody richer. And I remember Gorbachev saying at one point, actually to George H.W. Bush, he was trying to explain how in capitalism somebody will found a company, and yes, they'll get rich from that, but there'll be all these jobs and the economy will grow and so forth and so on. And at one point, George H.W. Bush turned to me and said, "Are they translating this?" And I said, "Mr. President, I'm afraid this just doesn't translate." All right. So, but George was indefatigable. He would go and he would take his pie charts and he would explain why central planning didn't work. And maybe underneath it eventually had an effect, because one of the things that Gorbachev tried to do, and George was very proud of this, was he actually tried to have these little private enterprise shoots. They wouldn't privatize the economy as a whole, but they had little entrepreneurial businesses that they started to build called collectives, so that somebody would be able to have a restaurant that was private. And this is sort of 1987, 1988, and George actually would go once in a while to these little collectives where a man and his wife, you could only have 8 tables, by the way, you couldn't have more than 8 tables. And so he would go because, and by the way, much to the chagrin of the diplomatic security and the like, he would go down into some town and go to one of these collectives, because he actually did believe that that could be the beginning of capitalism. So he understood that it was too much to try to explain to them that you could have this thing called the market and it would all work out. But these little experiments, he was always very proud of, and thought maybe he'd had a part in getting them to do it.
I can pick up on that because I got to deal with it subsequently when the Berlin Wall fell, et cetera. And so first of all, Gorbachev may have been receptive, but he didn't understand it. He had grown up in he was Secretary of Agriculture, and they were making sure he knew exactly where everything was all the time. So when Senior Bush sent me to help them with economic reform, because they announced they were going to become a capitalist economy in 500 days, not the 5 centuries it took to develop capitalism, but that's a whole other story. So I met with Gorbachev and Shevardnadze, and it's pretty clear, I'm Bush's chief economic advisor, so I actually know how all this works. So he sends me to see the head of Gosplan, the state planning agency. And through his interpreter, he asked me, "Who sets the prices in your economy?" And I try to explain, we have a few regulated industries, and there's, et cetera. And I've won teaching awards in my day, but he wasn't having it. He just didn't understand that lots of consumers, lots of producers can interact, and that would determine prices, et cetera. And so he finally gets very frustrated, motions me to wait. He goes back into his office, and we're in an ante room. He comes back with one of these 1970s we would think of here, but there it's 1990 flip charts, and it's these Fortran flip charts. It's the price list for the Soviet Union. He hands me a pen. He wants me to cross out the old prices and write in the new ones. He can't believe, since Gorbachev has told him, I'm Bush's chief economic advisor, I know what the prices should be. So he's convinced that I should just read out the new prices, and that would solve his problem. Because he's been told he has to get to a price system in 500 days. He hasn't the slightest idea what he's doing. Both in China and in Russia, I've had the experience of people who were more reformers, who spoke some English, but also generally relied on translation to be precise, tell me that you can't get this across because all these people have been trained as Marxists. They can't, when we ask them, how do you measure, how do you know what's actually going on in the economy? They've never thought about how to measure something like GDP because the outputs are weighted by market prices. They don't have market prices. They're just used to everything being quantities. These many shoes of this size for this style lady shoe will get shipped to Leningrad or to Vladivostok, et cetera. That's all they knew. So in any event, it became interesting, and later on, George was a big help to me and Condi, who was a rising superstar on the NSC staff at the time, when I was asked to negotiate a potential bailout with Gorbachev. And he told me, push them hard, they have to threaten to walk out twice so they don't get serious. And then be careful because you can do more harm than good. And that's why we decided to do, even though Bush was being pressured by John Major and Francois Mitterrand and Helmut Kohl to bail out Gorbachev, we decided to do very little.
Jay, I'm wondering if you'll buy this idea, that this represents another aspect of the way George Shultz did public service. He was always teaching. Gorbachev, in this case, but I think, Condi, I think back to there would be some big meeting, some big summit, and he would go to the press, and it would be very methodical.
Yes.
He would want everyone to understand what had happened, what were the central issues, who took what position, and where matters stood now.
George never talked in sound bites.
No.
He simply didn't. There was always depth to it. I think sometimes it was a little frustrating for the press because they wanted him to talk in sound bites. Having been in that job, I know they'd like you to talk in sound bites, but he was determined that people were going to have a real understanding of it.
Jay is not known for sound bites either.
No.
Yeah, no, I would say also George, in a sense, was AI before AI. Because having been in boardrooms and academic seminars, he always would listen carefully, and he would summarize things in a way that really got to the essence of the issue. And what the issues were, and what the path forward, or the potential paths forward were. And it was quite an amazing thing. You'd sit in the boardroom and people would be arguing about this, that, and the other thing. He'd just sit there quietly, and at the end he'd give a succinct, maybe not always so succinct summary, and wrap things up.
Jay?
So I think, I didn't know him anything like both of these folks knew him, but it seems to me people who met him and worked with him trusted him. And it was based on his integrity and his knowledge and his work product and just the way he dealt with people. So he holds 3 cabinet in ascending importance: labor, OMB, and then treasury, in 3 years, really. So
That's right.
He's getting promoted really quickly and being given the job of desegregating the schools, which wasn't obviously connected to any of those jobs. Then, as Secretary of State, Gorbachev and Shevardnadze just take tremendous liking to him, and they want to work with him. And some of the people who study this stuff give him a lot of credit for. He didn't compromise on his principles, but they trusted him, and they felt that this was someone they could work with, and that President Reagan was really aligned with. Critically, Reagan was aligned with these goals, so he was just very effective in that way. And I think it was liking him, trusting him, having strong principles he didn't compromise, just made him very effective, remarkably effective across so many issues.
Back at Stanford, after the Reagan administration, Mr. Shultz returns to Stanford. He composes his memoirs, Triumph and Turmoil. He convenes study groups. He continues coming into his Hoover office well into his I think he was still showing up in his 99th year, as I recall.
Very late
Yeah.
90s.
2 or 3 days a week in his
Yes.
99, which is, by the way, is about as often as kids show up for in the office these days, 2 or 3 days a week. And so I am just struck that the same things he was doing at the University of Chicago, in all of these, Secretary of Labor, Director of OMB, Secretary of the Treasury, Secretary of State, he continues to do here at the Hoover Institution. Convene, talk. That says something about him, of course. Let me know what you think it says about him that he keeps at it so long, but it also says something about the Hoover Institution, that this remarkable man thought that it was worth making this institution the central activity of his life for the final decades of his time on this planet. Condi?
Well, we called him the Great Convener
Yes.
because George would he would decide that there was a subject that was of importance and we ought to get the smartest people in the room to talk about it. And it was that simple. And then he would call them up and of course they would all show up. And everything from, and it was not just economics. Mike mentioned he had a very deep interest in California and in trying to make this state better. And you might know that Charlotte, the great Charlotte, was chief of protocol to several mayors and governors of the state. And so he was very involved in California and in California policy, not so much politics, but policy. George took a tremendous interest in energy policy. And together with Tom Stevenson convened a task force on energy in which they were concerned not just about energy but about the issues that related to a clean environment, the climate change, and so worked very hard on those issues. Obviously anything to do with national security. Another area that people perhaps don't realize how important he thought it was, North America. He cared about North America because he believed it could be an economic engine. If you thought about the assets of Canada, the United States, and Mexico together, that this could be a tremendous economic engine. And so I always thought of George's life as an economist, his understanding of the economy, and the way that he engaged these incredibly important public policy issues as being inherently linked. And it goes back to that belief in markets, to that belief in free enterprise, to that belief in individual liberty, and they would all show up in these convenings that George would do. But his reach across so many public policy issues, very often starting from the economic side and branching out, is really quite extraordinary. I think it made him a far better Secretary of State because he really understood what a lot of these countries were trying to do in providing for their people.
Yeah, and it made Hoover and George a perfect complement to each other because of the wide breadth of interests of the Hoover scholars. We have experts in economics and national security and foreign affairs and education and political science. You go on through energy, et cetera. So we have area studies of particular interest. And George was really, in a sense, interested in everything, or as much as he could, with his immense capacity, accommodate.
A couple last questions for all three of you. If possible, we'll go right down. I'm struck that by this notion that he participates, he's right in the middle of a great debate that takes place for a couple of decades in this country. And by the 1980s, when we get economic revival and a victory in the Cold War, it feels as though we've gotten someplace. It feels as though one side of the debate has won, which brings us to today. The former Soviet Union, now Russia, still has not embraced free markets. China has embraced markets,
No,
but
not
has not
free.
embraced democracy. The economy that we inhabit, which AI, every person I know who even people who are making money on AI already are nervous about what it's going to do to the labor force, restructuring jobs. We've got new forms of currency. This is this is always a question that you really can't get. It's not a rigorous question, but at the same time, it gets at something. What would George Shultz tell us today? What are the permanent lessons.
Let's
that we
look
should
to the dead people to
grasp
tell us what to do
as we
today.
face this changed world in which we live. Mike, would you like to go with
Yeah, I would say that at the core of the way George thought about things was combining facts, ideas, and experience. He firmly believed you didn't really understand something deeply unless you understood it intellectually and had experienced it in your gut. And I've come to that point of view over a long time, partly under George's influence, but just my own experiences. And so I think he would try to make sure that you merge those things in your thinking about issues. Number two, he would say, stay engaged. Stay engaged. Try to be constructive in any way you can. And to me, that's a great lesson from his life. Stay engaged, whether that's in the cabinet at the federal government level, whether it's your local school board or whatever you happen to do, stay engaged and try to make things better. He loved the phrase, democracy is not a spectator sport. And so stay engaged.
Jay, what are the permanent lessons?
I agree with all of that. I mean, this is very. I mean,
say no to fiat,
end,
kids.
So now we're into a whole different set of challenges looking forward, and we need to remain engaged. To Michael's point, with our main allies and rivals, and we just need to keep working on all the things that we confront now, which are some to some extent, some of the issues are settled. Like the issue of price controls is no longer, we understand now that the central bank is responsible for price stability. So that issue is settled. It doesn't mean it's easy to do, but the issue is settled. So this is new issues.
So easy. You make it look so easy, Jay.
Yeah, well, that's the trick.
Yeah.
No, but so things like nuclear disarmament, we were probably closer to that 20 years ago than we are now. So these issues don't go away and new issues arise, and they call for very much, I think the way George Shultz approached public policy and engagement are exactly what we need now.
Yeah.
Condi?
I think George would be excited by this moment, understanding that it was a challenging moment, but he always saw opportunity. Ultimately he was an optimist. He believed things could be solved if you kept at the core the principles on which the United States was founded. There's a story that when George would swear in as Secretary of State, ambassadors, he would go to a big globe. And he would say to the about-to-be ambassador, show me your country. And that person would point to Brazil or to Paraguay or to Kenya. And George would say, no, this is your country. And he would point to the United States of America. Because the one lesson that I think he would want us all to remember is that since the war, and remember, George was a young Marine in that war. He was part of the greatest generation that fought and won first the war against Nazism and later on the war against communism. George would want, I think, us to remember that central to essentially 8+ decades of relative peace and relative prosperity, if we think about what had come before, the United States was central to that. The United States was central to it because it was founded on the right principles. It worked through its problems like segregation. It worked through issues and came to the right answers on how to stimulate the private sector without wage and price controls. And he just had an unfailing belief in this country. And so I think he would say, garden with your allies, they're important. But never think that anything good is going to happen if the United States of America withdraws.
Last question. I see some Stanford students here. They didn't know George. They were born after the Soviet Union became defunct.
You're goddamn right.
As a matter of fact, we might as well have been talking about the Grover Cleveland administration as far as they're concerned. So can you sum up just in give me one sentence that they need to understand about George Shultz? Mike?
That you can serve with integrity in anything you do, whether it's in public life, in the business world, in a think tank, in academia. You can serve with integrity, try to do the best you can, and try to make sure that you take your God-given skills and make the most of them. You only have one shot at it.
Jay?
Yeah, I mean, I think the things that he accomplished were hugely beneficial to this country. We can all be grateful for that, and those of you who are students and looking ahead, I would hope people would look at him as an example and think, I'd like to do public service, I'd like to serve this great country, and make my own contribution.
Yeah.
Condi.
I would say to my students, you want to participate in this democracy. You want to participate in the solution of its problems. It's an obligation, it's a privilege to do so. But George Shultz would have probably said, first know something about the problems you're trying to solve.
For sure.
Michael
Absolutely.
Moskin, Condoleezza Rice, and Jay Powell, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay! Golf clap.
Thanks. It's great.
There it is, guys. There it is.
Jay.
I told you it was going to be nothing. I told you. But we sat through it anyway.
Jay, these are the men who'd like to have their picture.
Okay. Hey, how are you?
Okay. And I think that's all we're going to get to see. We might answer some questions off camera, but it looks like they already had some chosen for the round table. Yeah, that's pretty much it. All right. So let's get into a scheduled program while I'm a little tipsy. All right, here we go, guys. Here we go. All right, let's do it. Okay, so again, welcome to another evening of chaos, guys. Hope you're having a great time. Powell didn't even budge the market, like not even a fraction. If anything, we just fell down a little further. We just lost $10 billion in our total market cap, and Bitcoin lost about, I don't know, $50. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, now I'm bullish AF because I ain't going back. Says Cliff. Speaking of Cliff, thank you so much for the $2 $10 super chats, guys. Boom.
Give me money. Money now. Me money.
That was a long time ago.
Now.
I don't forget, man. I really appreciate that, Cliff. Thanks again. You were asking if you could change your vote. I don't think you can change your vote in the polls. I'm pretty sure you can't. And then you were also telling everyone to don't forget to like and subscribe. And I actually started drinking because of you tonight. Because you sent out those emojis, those drink emojis in the chat, the whiskey. Got me thinking, man, I should probably have a drink or two. And yeah, I did. Here we go, guys. I hope you're ready. This is, Cliff's, Cliff's doing. And then also, we did have, of course, Jake the Snake also, during Powell and his roundtable of old people. Also saying, the king has heard enough. He's heard enough. I told you guys there wasn't going to be anything there for us. There was going to be nothing there for us. But we stuck through it, and I was hoping to see some actual questions from the audience. We didn't get them. They were actually very, very well vetted. And we got a couple questions on gold. We got to get a couple questions on just general inflation, but they were answered just typically like the Feds normally answer, right? Giving, of course, the answer back via the question. All right. Let's get back into, guys, our normally scheduled program. I'll do the quick version of this. Let's do lightning round, of course, for all of our metrics, guys. Let's get into it. Let's start with, of course, where's Bitcoin at right now? Bitcoin's currently sitting at 86,300. We actually lost $100 since Powell stopped speaking. This is on the 15-minute chart. So, we're looking at actually, while he was speaking, we actually dropped a little bit from 86.8, 86.9 from a high when this started at 8 p.m. Guys, this is when we got on the live. We ran all the way up to 87,000, and now we're back down to 86,300. That's probably the double bottom right down here at 86 flat, possibly. The market's open, already occurred about an hour ago. It's already started. Although I think Japan actually starts to get their times on par with ours right soon. I mean, I remember they usually come up to par with us 1-to-1 mirrored eventually. Let's see, what time in Japan time? What time Japan time? Right now it's 11 o'clock in the afternoon, so damn, they're already blasting through the day. They're already about ready to start their intraday trading here, 9 p.m., guys. We normally end the stream right around 9:30, 10 o'clock. We haven't even started. Let's go.
Stupid.
I know. We got to get going. All right, so 86,300 on Bitcoin. That's what we're sitting at right now. If you guys didn't catch the morning live with us this morning, we're talking about the travesty that was our prediction from the weekend that pretty much basically went baseline and then went nowhere. What the F happened? What happened? We called everything up until like the last 10 or so hours on, of course, Bitcoin. Throughout the entire weekend. Who can do that? Of course, we put this on Friday night. Guys, we got robbed. We got robbed with the market open in December. I'm pretty sure we're going to see a pullback at some point by the middle of the week. If not tomorrow, it's going to be Wednesday. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely absurd. We're so oversold. It is ridiculous. Oh my God. It's ridiculous, guys. So one of these days. All right. Moving on. So if you guys didn't catch the thumbnail, I did shout out about Tom Lee, right? Tom Lee's in the thumbnail, basically shouting from the rooftops, of course, that he's still very bullish by the end of the year, still calling for a new all-time high regardless of what it will be, and of course a big blowout into January, at least starting to run in January. That's according to him. We're going to get into that here in a bit. I got a whole video for you. I don't know if we're going to have time to play the whole damn thing. I might choose some highlights from it. But anyway, we do have, of course, Bitcoin still range bound between what was it, 85 and 95, roughly around that $10,000 range. All right. So I'm trying to go through this lightning fast, guys. Lightning round on all the metrics tonight. Here we go. We have the national debt sitting currently at $38,355 billion. Again, another $50 billion away from getting damn near $39 trillion, guys. We're already almost halfway through 38 trillion. It's insane. We can't stop, won't stop printing that money here in the United States. We're addicted to it. And as we look at the world debt clocks, other countries, especially like Japan, still sitting at roughly negative 300 debt to GDP. With a lot of their national debt, they could probably flip that pretty quickly if they start, not quickly, but they could flip a decent chunk of that if they start flipping our U.S. dollars, because they hold the largest amount of U.S., of course, debt. Moving on. We have the Fed decision in December sitting at 89% still. 89 from this morning. I was telling you guys, of course, this week we're going to hit 90% no matter what. Maybe even 97 by the end of this week. Probably by the end of next week, though, more than realistically. We're probably going to see that next week. But anyway, 90-something is going to happen this week, guys. We're going to get that 25 basis points, but it's likely going to be with a hawkish statement. We're going to cut it, but we're not sure where we're really headed because we're just trying to keep the economy afloat, blah, blah, blah. You guys know, the drill. I know. Going back to POWELL, guys, I do want to kind of reiterate some of the stuff we heard tonight. Just in general, I like POWELL, all right? I really do. I know I was kind of playing around and being like, we slap him all with a fish and Grandpa POWELL and all this. He's not bad. He's not that bad of a Fed. I've been watching him now for 5 or 6 years. I think he's done all right. There's definitely people pulling strings behind the scenes. You just don't see them. But all in all, I think POWELL's done a fine job with at least his duty to keep a nice clean face about the markets and keep everything kind of keep his shit together and keep the market shit together. I think he's done a fine job of that. So again, I just want to reiterate, I don't go around and sniffing his diapers, but I do like POWELL. I've been, of course, very adjusted to him for many, many years. I don't know if I'm going to like Hassett if he gets picked, though. I'm just telling you, he's the biggest wet blanket. You don't get nothing out of any of those interviews we've of course, covered here on the channel. So, yeah, that's all I'm feeling, some kind of way.
We're going to win so much.
I hope we do. All right. So, yeah, that's what we're looking at right now on, of course, the Fed decision rate in December. Did that change at all since we've been on the live? Did we hit 90 yet? Oh, come on. We went down a point. We'll hit 90 this week, guys. I'm telling you. We will. Fear and greed index for the stock market ended today in 23 in extreme fear. Still just slightly in extreme fear, about ready to pop out into traditional fear. Like it's any better. And then we've got, of course, crypto fear and greed index sitting here on extreme fear at 23 when I started the live stream. That was over an hour ago now. And then right now sitting at 23, still in extreme fear for crypto. We got 99.4 on the Dixie, as of course right now, as the Dixie, of course, ended today. A little bit down, but recovered slightly. But I'm telling you guys, I'm pretty sure this is a double top, and we're not going to come back after, of course, this month when the Dixie, of course, goes down with all the money printing in the planet. All right, what else we got here? We got the crypto bubbles on the day. We're looking at on today. We actually recovered quite a bit today, actually, sitting at now only negative 1.7% on the day. God, this morning, guys, some of these projects were down 10, 15, 20% in the morning, just in the morning. So, if you guys, hopefully, you guys got into some of those projects and bought some of that dip. It was glorious, but if you didn't, hold on there, man. Hold on there, because there may be more around the corner. Zcash still going down today. That's crazy. Down 35% on the week. It was down almost 40% off on the week, guys, as of this morning. Still recovering quite just a little bit. That's a little bit on the day, not much. And then we got, of course, it down on the month, about 18%. My top picks for the day this morning were Zcash and Sui. If you guys, of course, didn't catch the morning live stream. And basically just going all the way out to the monthly, looking for 30s and 40s out here. Sui's now down 43% on the month. It's my top pick. For sure, guys, Virtual's protocol, if you guys want some of the agentic AI, that sweet agentic AI play on Ethereum, the number one AI play basically on Ethereum, agentic anyway, that's down 53% now on the month. Crazy, crazy opportunities. Still, guys, if you believe that we're going to come back into next year. Whew. All right, so Say is also down 37% on the month. Again, I told you my top pick is Sui. We've got, of course, where is it? Zcash. I don't even see it here on the month. Now there it is. Only down 18% on the month. So the big move there already happened, of course, within the week. Zcash is down a decent amount, 35% on the week alone. So you might want to take a look at maybe some Zcash and Link, and Sui. Those are my top two picks from this morning. Still my top two picks for today, of course, with maybe the runner-up being Virtual's protocol. All right, let's take a look at the top 200 assets as well. See what else is going on here on the day. Everything's pretty much come back and reclaimed now, back pretty much to where we were, if not a little bit greener. Some of these projects here, Monad still kind of killing it. It's kind of crazy. This is just a brand new token launched here recently, so take that with a grain of salt. Still trying to find its bottom. I think it may have already bounced off of its bottom, or maybe it's going to come back down and retest it. But either way, if you want to take a look at Monad, that of course is a pretty new token. We're looking on the weekly here. Damn, Fast tokens down 60% off on the week. That's insane. 62% on the month. Absolutely insane. Any other big movers to the downside here on the monthly? We're looking for 30s and 40s. I was screaming Jido this morning. It's still been my top number one pick. I don't even hold any, guys. Wormhole is my top number 2 on the top 200, sitting down about negative 40%. Again, I'm looking for real world asset plays. I'm looking for DeFi. I'm looking for anything to do with pretty much decentralized finance. Because I think it's going to be the first one to move when we get things going in the right direction again. And XCN still down 37%, almost damn near 40% on the month as well. So again, pick your own type of adventure. I'm still probably going to lean a little bit more towards Wormhole because of it just being down so much, and I don't have enough personally on my bags. But Jido could probably change your entire worldview in the course of your life. Down 89%. On the year. This thing has done nothing, literally nothing the entire year. It has done nothing but lose money the entire year. So again, I told you guys before, it has, of course, some government rolled up plays that may be possibly play out in the future. It could be a great opportunity. I'm definitely going to throw some money at it eventually. Whenever the blood starts to stop and it starts to move up a little bit, I might actually start to, throw some money at this project. What else are we looking at here? That's pretty much it. So again, my number one pick will either be Jido or Wormhole on the top 200, with a runner-up maybe being XCN. All right, guys, that's of course my 2 cents, not financial advice.
I'd buy that for $1.
Yes, just what my 2 cents. 59.5, guys. I'm getting closer and closer to 60% dominant yet again.
This entire idea of like 60% dominance is bullshit, ridiculous, stupid.
Hold my beer.
Like, it's stupid. It's not 60% dominant.
Oh, but it still is. It still is. God, I didn't take a drink. All right. So yeah, still sitting around 60% dominant for Bitcoin. Actually on the uptrend here on the last few days, of course, where the markets are heading right now. We got my favorite metric to cover with you guys every single day, and it's, of course, how much Bitcoin's left on all exchanges. Binance, of course, holding the largest amount right now, 572,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And this is it, guys. And I was actually curious how this is going to play out into tomorrow, because we got a huge outflow on pretty much all exchanges and ETFs, but we're still holding on even with this little baby bump I showed you guys this morning. We're still holding on to the lowest we've ever seen on exchanges, and that's of course 2.1 million Bitcoin remaining on these exchanges balance sheet. And I'm slurring my words now because I had too much to drink.
What are you, stupid?
All right, moving on. What else we got here? We got total crypto market cap still sitting around almost damn near returning to $3 trillion in market cap. I want to see this happen so bad, guys. As of this morning, we fell down to 2.82, I think was the lowest. Oh my gosh, the lowest we've seen in a few weeks, 2.82. The lowest today was 2.87. Not too bad, but still trying to come back up and retest $3 trillion in market cap. Looking at some of the top assets here on the top 10. Looking at the XRP. XRP, I think, struggled right around $2 all day today. Did it actually break $2? I think I saw it at 193 earlier today. Look at this. Yeah, 192, 193 right there. That's last week. That's not today. There we go, 199. The lowest it got today was 199, so not too bad of a day for XRP, but damn, seen better days, of course. It's holding up, though. All in all, this is not too bad of a chart. You look at it, of course, where we came from, of course, from being 205 before the, big breakout last year into the beginning of this year. All right, what else are we looking at? Cardano still holding number 10. That's nothing new there. With Doge sitting on number 9. Hyperliquid still holding number 11. How are the stablecoins doing? Are all the money still hanging out in the stablecoins? Yes, it is. Holy crap. $184 billion sitting in Tether, and Circle. We're sitting at 77 billion. I think that's up. A bit now. Let's take a look. Where's market cap? Yeah, look at that. Damn, climbing from, the beginning of the year. That's crazy. Let's go over the last month. Yeah, so the bottom of last week, 74 to 77. About $3 billion entering, of course, back into Circle. Guys, people are taking a little off the table, just trying to be safe, maybe rolling some profits, or maybe taking some losses, of course, before the end of the year. We're only 30 days away, guys. Only 30 days away. That's less than 4 weeks now. Four and a quarter. So it's about less than 4 weeks probably. All right, moving on. That's pretty much it. I think everything else is pretty much hanging on the same sort of levels. I think SWE just got flipped by DAI though. Pretty sure SWE just lost 1 in market cap. Other than that, everything's still pretty much about the same. We got Cody the Cool coming with a $5 super tax. You got taxed, my man. You're late. Late. How you doing, Cody? If Ben is here tonight, I was trying to see if I can get Ben on tonight, but I sent him a message over on Discord. I couldn't get him lined up for Tinfoil Hat Tuesday, so it may be business as usual, Cody. If you are up for it, you and of course Nebs and Gigi, whoever is available. Of course, I am drunk. Oh my god. Yes. All right, let's move on. We've got BitcoinTreasuries.net. Pal. So what'd you miss, Cody? You missed Pal speaking. Total nothing burger. I started drinking, and here we are now. We're going through the lightning round as fast as I can while I'm intoxicated, and it probably doesn't move that fast. So we're just kind of going through the motions still. All right, BitcoinTreasuries.net. Of course, the only thing that really happened today was MicroStrategy printing, of course, another orange dot and purchasing what his remaining balance sheet needed to get to 650,000 Bitcoin now on, of course, MicroStrategy's balance sheet. And with the outflows of BlackRock, where are we currently at with BlackRock? Let's take a look. They're sitting at currently 779,000. So I think they just added a little bit. Pretty sure last week it was 774. Again, the highest they ever had under assets under management was like 805, I believe. So it is quite a large sell-off here in the last few weeks. All right, moving on. All right, what else we got here? We've got the top 10 assets in the world. Bitcoin still holding number 9, although I did kind of put the scare on a little bit this morning as Meta is starting to recover a little bit here with Apple making a new all-time high. And again, I said it this morning. You went back in time and told me that Apple and Google were gonna flip Microsoft this year, I would have said you were full of shit. There's no way. But they did. They totally did. And of course, Apple hit a new all-time high today with Google. Insane. Nvidia slipping back down, but looking pretty tight. Looking pretty tight at the very bottom there. It could actually start to rally tomorrow with that sort of price action towards the bottom there.
Go.
Tight.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at there. All right, and then gold still coming back up to retest $30 trillion market cap. What was the highest we saw for gold? I forget. Was it 31? I think it was 31 trillion, the highest. It's safe to say that the current market cap of gold is between. Okay, this is all just speculation because of the futures and all the BS. Okay, whatever. All right, I'm over it. All right, I'm not going to get any real information from gold there, especially in this market. All right, moving on. Let's get into some news, guys. I did have some things picked out. Let's see what I had picked out this evening for you guys. Again, I apologize. I had a little too much to drink while we were watching Grandpappy drink all the eggnog, and I had to go into his liquor cabinet and take a little bit of this. Oh my god. Yeah, that's what you missed earlier. All right, so the FDIC chief, first Genius Act regulations heading for a proposal this month. The FDIC acting chairman Travis Hill is set to testify in the House hearing that his agency is ready to propose a stablecoin application rule before the month is out. Things are actually happening, guys. It's amazing, right? It's amazing. And again, I've been telling you guys that the Genius Act is not really going to go into full effect until, what was it, 18 months or... I forget what the hell the timeline was. 18 months or... I forget who the hell said that, too. It was a weird time frame. 18 months or was it... Or 20 weeks. I forget the hell this stupid thing was. From, of course, August. So Genius Act is going to be, of course, fully implemented next year. My guess is by the summertime. All right. And then, the acting chief at U.S. Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation said that the banking regulator expects to start proposing rules for stablecoin issuers before the close of December. According to the testimony, Travis Hill is preparing to deliver Thursday, guys. Oh, wait, no. That's tomorrow. Tuesday. I'm sorry. It's Taco Tuesday, guys. Oh, Taco Tuesday, not Thursday. My mistake. So that's tomorrow. Before the House Financial Services Committee. We also, don't forget, we also have this on our agenda, on our narratives list. Where's my notepad? Where's my bloody notepad? It's lost. All right. Well, I don't know where it went. It's lost somewhere. But yeah, we do have the 4th. On the 4th, we have the SEC. How can I remember that? It's insane. The SEC is, of course, going to have a virtuals meeting, which is going to be publicized and available on their website. So we're going to try to cover that as best we can on the 4th. Which I believe is Thursday. So Tuesday and Thursday, we're going to have, some shit going down in, of course, the White House. All right. First up, the regulator's agenda is implementing the guiding and establishing national innovation of U.S. stablecoins. The Genius Act issuing a proposal for how the agency will handle issuers that apply for federal oversight. And of course, the banks are going to love this. The FDIC has begun work to promulgate rules to implement the Genius Act. We expect to issue a proposed rule to establish our application framework later this month and a proposed rule for implementing the Genius Act's prudential requirements for the FDIC supervised payment stablecoin issuers next year, early into next year. According to Hill's prepared testimony, the Genius Act contemplates an array of federal and state aid entities taking part in the supervision of the stablecoin sector. After figuring out the application process, the FDIC, which regulates deposit insurance and oversees thousands of banks, has to write rules for capital requirements for regulated banks that want to issue stablecoins. It's also responsible for the liquidity standards for regulating the quality of reserve issuers set aside. And again, don't forget the central banks are definitely going to have a play in this, as we heard Waller's statement saying that they should not be giving yield. That's not for them, that's for the banks. I can't make that shit up, guys. That's what they said.
Stupid.
That's what they said. Of course, Brian Armstrong's still trying to fight that, of course, with his Circle partnership and rewards on Coinbase. Let's move on. JP Morgan to strike CEO Jack Mallers, and he goes silent. It's kind of weird. Kind of weird, guys. I wonder what's going on with Jackie boy, my man. How you doing? It's one of the main reasons why I also do this, guys. He's also another a Bitcoiner in a hoodie, right? I love him. All right, Jack Mallers. All right, anyway, so for now, Jack Mallers has decided to not comment on any further about JP Morgan's decline to explain also why it debanked the CEO's company, very similar to newly launched JPM coin. All right, so a lot of his, stuff happening in the quiet shade here. Jack Mallers, let's see. When a Wall Street banking giant and a crypto CEO start a public fight over debanking, the world takes notice, and back and forth gets messy. And we've got a lot of debanking coming from our space. And anyone still weirdly, I don't know why they're even still banking at Chase. I mean, I stopped banking with Chase like 15 years ago, something like that. Jack Mallers, CEO of crypto payments company Strike, dropped a social media bombshell on November 23rd saying that JP Morgan closed all of its accounts without cause. And then last month, JP Morgan threw me out of the bank. Mallers said in a post on X, it was bizarre. Every time I asked them why, they said the same thing. We aren't allowed to tell you. The post went viral and received reaction from personalities, including Tether CEO Paulo Ardonio, who said, I think it's for the best. And Grant Cardone, a multi-billionaire real estate mogul and equity fund manager, in an X post called for a boycott, announced they transferred all of his assets out of JP Morgan. Of course, we showed you guys all of that happening just a couple weeks ago. Bo Hines, the former digital asset advisor for President Trump, is, of course, now the strategic advisor for Tether. A reminder of the Bank of X. You guys know Operation Choke Point is over, right? Just checking. I don't think it's over. Operation Choke Point 2.0 regrettably lives on, said Senator Cynthia Lummis. Policies like JP Morgan's undermine confidence in traditional banks and send the digital asset industry overseas. While a banking giant debanking company isn't unusual, it often gets unreported. Oh my God.
What are you, stupid?
Unreported. And then this one on the hit a nerve of the crypto community, given Mallers and Strike's positions on the industry and previous U.S. government crackdowns. Although big banks freeze accounts frequently, it's difficult to ignore the timing of Mallers' JP Morgan debanking, said Timothy O'Regan, an emerging market fund expert and Ironweave founder. A lot of people coming out, of course, on this particular matter. Mallers sat on the debanking letter from JP Morgan Chase for a few months before exposing it. He later framed it as well. What else we got? We have to decide to close your accounts. I think we pretty much covered all this over the last few weeks anyway. I don't want to go too far into it, but it's still ongoing and active, and we're not going to know too much more because we're probably going to keep it all hush-hush, in my opinion. China doubles down on the crypto ban after detecting new trading activity. This came out over the weekend. Ridiculous, I know. China's central bank reaffirms the total crypto bank ban after detecting renewed trading activity targeting stablecoins as risk, while Hong Kong stocks with the digital assets exposure tumble sharply. Guys, Hong Kong was the first ETF to have like for like Bitcoin, and it happened shortly after we established ours here in the United States. They are definitely still on the board, unless China killed it right now, to be, of course, one of the crypto capitals of the world. All right, so China's central bank has reasserted its strict prohibition on crypto trading following signs of renewed speculation in virtual assets. The People's Bank of China convened a high-level meeting on November 28th, 2025 with 13 government agencies to coordinate reinforcement and, of course, crack down on illegal digital activities that have recently resurfaced despite years of sweeping bans. And again, it's like every 2 years we get like, oh, they're banned. No, it's not. Oh, it's banned. No, it's not. And we just keep going back and forth forever. So I take this with a little grain of salt because it doesn't matter. It doesn't freaking matter. It doesn't change, of course, the fundamentals of our space, of course, our assets. And if they want to stay behind on this and, of course, it's mostly to prevent the people of China for participating and, of course, rising up in, of course, power and or more wealth than the ones underneath or above or whatever. Anyway, so officials emphasize that virtual currencies lack a legal tender status and cannot function as money in China's markets, while related to business activities constitute illegal financial conduct that undermines economic stability. My God, guys. I'm trying so hard to get through this. I'm still trying to finish my drink, too. Oh, my God. It's one of those nights, guys. All right. Let's get back in the chat. How is it going in the chat, guys? Let's check back in with you guys before we go any further. With South Korea next. South Korea. Stablecoin bill faces September 10th deadline or lawmakers act alone. We'll dive into that for a second. I gotta catch up with you guys. Ben Skird says, Braveheart McFreedom, he doesn't have to come on camera. Ben just has to, just talk and tell us about the rapture coming. Of course, for Tinfoil Hat Tuesday, tomorrow, Tuesday. Ben ain't ready for the lights, man. He ain't ready for the lights, the camera, or the action. Maybe he's not. And it's fine if he's not. Like I said, he's fine to get on without, of course, a camera. He's hiding in the basement, says Gamma. Oh, yeah. Braveheart Freedom says, honey, I was wondering, where's the socks guy? Where's he at? And he stole my socks. He did steal my socks. Guys, I actually did not get my sample socks. I got the hoodies, I got the t-shirts, I got the mouse pads, I got all the stuff, right? I got all the stuff, of course, from the merch store, but I did not get the socks. So someone stole my socks, and it was probably Ben. I'm just telling you, it's probably Ben.
Stupid.
Yeah, that's his thing, man. I can't stop him. I love him. He's just my brother with a weird fetish. All right, when Ben says Cliff, when Ben in the chat. Yes, that's the question I'm asking here tonight. If Ben is in the chat, maybe he can answer. I did send him a message over on X. On Twitter. Wow. It's the same thing. On the Discord, guys. If you haven't checked out the Discord, guys, jump in on the Discord. Of course, we of course try to keep up with you guys live over there. So if you're not over there, jump on. What are you waiting for? All you gotta do is, of course, hit the link down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well. We're trying to build up to 1,500 is our next target to be handing out more wrenches and breaking YouTube's algorithm. If you guys haven't noticed, a lot of people in the chat have those wrenches, and I want to break YouTube so badly. If I could give everyone a wrench, I would. All right. Let's see what I can do, guys. So jumping over here, if you guys haven't already joined in the Discord yet, I'll show you quickly just how. Just jump over here, get into, of course, the rules page. White Rabbit, of course, follow the right rabbit into the rules page, read the rules page, and of course, to enter the matrix, just get access. Click on the little icon right here, and we'll let you on in, guys. We're growing this every single day. The chaos ensues. Here's Artemis, Atusmus, Chad, of course, Chadamus over on Discord. Posted this. It's just random stuff, guys. I love it. And of course, Dobby is Darth Maul, apparently.
Saber. A really cool one. You guys have lightsabers too? Master did not tell me that. Never mind. I don't want to fight. Dobby does not.
So again, guys, come join, of course, the chaos after the live stream over on the Discord. All right. So anyway, South Korea. No, not South Korea. I gotta catch up with the chat. I'm so close to catching up with the chat. I can do it. I know I can do this, guys. I'm a little tipsy, but I can still do this. I'm pretty sure. My blue diamond is kicking in, and now I can aim, says LOL. Tito's! Cliff. Oh, wow. Having some Tito's tonight with me as well. Cheers, my man. Cheers. I'm having some Jimmy Beam. Found the sunshine on clearance. If it's free, it's for me. If it's near free, it's also for me. Yeah, you guys know how it goes. Anyway, so run, Cliffbot has aimbot installed. Oh no, Jake the Snakes are absolutely right. Insane. Run. Cliff says, so if the whole crypto, fiat, etc. doesn't work out, seashells. Exactly. Seashells, they're great in the bathroom, if you guys know that reference. And charcoal, yes, I'm going to try having what? Otaku, but don't even track what I'm saving. Also, don't forget the bottle caps are also going to be, and maybe soda tabs? Soda tabs, tops, yeah. We're going to make our own currency one way or the other. But don't even track what I'm saying. Thank you, Otaku. I try my best, my man. Scrub saying, yes, check out the Discord noobs. I posted an awesome meme earlier as well, says Scrubulous. And it's the Dobby. I shared, I think, earlier. Probably. Don't mess with Dobby. Yes, don't mess with Dobby, Cody. Oh, man. Speaking of which, Cody shared something earlier that scared the hell out of me. I can't even share that one on YouTube. But when the aliens take over, and you have to, make a double poop just to open a portal, your shit's in danger, man. You gotta get out of there. This is a weird world we live in. Yes, most of what in the no bucket in my mind says Cliff. Yes, 100%. That's what happens with the chaos, man. Don't share it. I had nightmares, says Cody. I did too, man. I share your pain. All right, moving on. South Korea's stablecoin bill faces December 10th deadline, or lawmakers will act alone. So apparently they're just gonna do it anyway. Apparently, Democratic Party leaders' December 10th ultimatum exposes how South Korea's stablecoin ambitions are trapped between the Bank of Korea's demand for 51% bank ownership. See, this is the kind of shit I'm talking about here in the United States with our central banks. They're just trying to get making sure all the dividends and yield and everything else is only derived for the banks, and because they want, of course, reclaim all the rewards and give, of course, the public the same shit they've been giving for years. Just not enough to defeat inflation, but just enough to just kind of get a taste. Was it 1% if you're lucky in the United States savings account? Up to, I think, the highest you can get is like 6%. You got to be a high roller for a 6% bank account here in the United States. So, yeah, of course that's what they want. Of course that's what they want. This is what all the central banks want. All right. So, anyway, Seoul divided over whether banks and tech firms should lead stablecoin issuance. According to reports in Seoul, a ruling party issue is described as a final notice to the financial authorities, urging them to submit the government's proposal for so-called Phase 2 legislation on digital assets, which focuses specifically on stablecoin oversight. I'm just waiting so patiently to see if we can get this market structure bill done. If we can get the market structure bill done here in the United States, we will have a very clear rule system in the United States that I think a lot of the world is going to kind of look at and be like, okay, we're going to basically take a note from them and just run with it, because we already kind of did that already. We kind of already stole some from other places as well. And I think when everyone's on the same playbook, then we're gonna have less articles like this, less, of course, central bank rule, and hopefully Trump can actually kick out these central banks. Hopefully he can start to make some changes with the IRS and maybe enact this ERS thing. But even the ERS is still messed up, because the rest of the world's still going to be doing what they do now, and that's, of course, paying for America. It's what they've been doing forever. We've been basically using everyone as slaves. Just America's effed up. Anyway, others, including other parts of the ruling party and the Financial Services Commission, FSC, preferred lowering the barrier to allow fintech participation, saying excessive restrictions could limit innovation. What else we got here with me? Drunk key slamming. There we go. The FSC letter issued a public statement clarifying that no final decision has been made on whether a consortium of 51% bank state would be permitted. The regulator confirmed the stablecoin legislation would be discussed during Monday's policy consultation, and both sides agreed to prepare a government bill as soon as possible. However, specifics remain unsettled, prolonging a delay that has already pushed expected timelines several times. What else do we have here? The National Assembly's Political Affairs Committee is currently reviewing these 3 separate bills, each proposing rules for issuance, collateral management, internal controls, and minimum capital requirements of about 5 billion won. The bills differ on issues from whether the stablecoin issuers could be allowed to offer interest on holdings, reflecting the ongoing disparities in policy direction. Of course, the same issues we have here in the United States as well, where the banks will not give up, of course, any of their rule. New AML and travel rule measures amid add pressure to, wow, just jumping over everything. Add pressure to Seoul, Korea's stablecoin push. Pressure is further intensified by parallel regulatory developments across government. The Financial Intelligence Unit is reorganizing its anti-money laundering protocols for stablecoins and preparing research that will shape the future of AML guidelines in South Korea. South Korea is also moving towards a tighter travel rule regime. We plan to extend reporting requirements to transactions over 1 million won to prevent users from bypassing identity checks. I don't like any of this stuff. South Korea will extend its crypto travel rule to cover sub $700 transactions. Gosh. Closing a loophole used to evade identity checks. Meanwhile, the Bank of Korea has expressed fresh concerns in an October report. The central bank warned that improperly collateralized stablecoins could be triggering depegging events that could disrupt capital flow management. All right. I think we've overextended our welcome here because this goes on and on and on. But South Korea may postpone crypto tax again. And it kind of sounds like what they're doing over in Thailand if that does happen. But South Korea crypto tax implementation may face fourth delay as infrastructure gaps and regulatory uncertainties persist out ahead of the 2027 deadline. Despite being approved in 2020, Korea's crypto tax law has been postponed multiple times and remains scheduled for 2027. Damn. Well, I guess it's still the Wild Wild West over there until then. I mean, that could be a good thing. All right, moving on over it. South Korea, well, and the central banks are still grinding my gears. The central banks are still grinding my gears across the world. House Republicans release 53-page report, speaking of which, accusing Biden administration's regulators of pressuring banks to avoid crypto. Of course, Choke Point 2.0 lives on, according to, of course, the House Republicans. As they released this 53-page report, the Republicans led the U.S. House Committee on Financial Services just published a 53-page report accusing Biden administration for regulators of attempting to push crypto firms out of the American financial system. The report claims the Biden administration's regulators attempted to dissuade financial institutions from providing services to crypto firms, an alleged policy that the Republicans and digital assets stakeholders have coined Operation Choke Point 2.0. Republican committee said that the Biden administration's anti-crypto efforts were of particular concern because they had happened at the same time as lawmakers in Congress were attempting to establish regulatory guidance for digital assets. The report points to crypto policies and promoting the Federal Reserve, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the FDIC, and the Office of Comptroller of Concerns, the OCC. Of course, the SEC as well. Okay. Guys, I'm running out of steam. So the FDIC sent pause letters to the financial institutions, effectively encouraging them to stop efforts to engage in digital assets related activities, delayed tactics, and the FDIC's voluminous document request made it impractical for financial institutions to pursue digital assets related services. And we saw that happen again with the market structure bill, right? We saw them come out and say, okay, this is what we want. They put it on the table, and they're like, wait, you want every single broker, every single holder of assets to go through the banks, basically. You cannot be your own broker. You cannot be your own holder, bag holder. That's what their demands were, of course, at the last meeting. And it was just absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And all got leaked before their final draft was put up, of course, from the other side. And yeah, that's kind of where we are left off. And hopefully we get this new draft passed. And of course with bipartisan support, and we get all these ridiculous overpaid lobbyist senators out of there. And I'm just I'm just ranting drunk now.
What are you, stupid?
Yes. Yes. All right, that's just my 2 cents of what I see happening right now. But the report claims the OCC is required to supervise institutions to receive non-objection letters before engaging in digital asset activities. It also points to the SEC's numerous regulatory enforcement actions against the crypto firms. And hopefully we'll see some news on this on the 4th, guys. Again, the 4th is going to be our next narrative playing out. Oh, here it is. I couldn't find it earlier. But yeah, this is what we're looking for. We're waiting for the 4th. The SEC is going to host a meeting with regulatory corporate governance plus tokenized securities. It's going to be virtual, and the full event will be streaming on the SEC website. We're going to be covering it as much as we possibly can. All right. Moving on. Tom Lee, bullish on crypto and stocks of the month despite market dip, and here is why. And I'm just going to segue that into, of course, the real news over on X, guys. If you're not, of course, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe, guys. I'm not always drunk. This is just, I'm going to blame Pal for this one. I'm going to blame Pal for this one.
Stupid?
Yes. So don't forget to, of course, like and subscribe, of course, on YouTube, and join our X account, followers on X. We're doing the thing, guys. And of course, I shared this earlier. Tom Lee's latest
Fund Strat and Chief Investment Officer.
Latest interview with, of course, Joe from Squawkbox. I'm just gonna stop talking now and let this play. It's 10 minutes long, so I can't play the whole damn thing. But I do want to get some highlights in here. Of course, calling for some more pro crypto stuff towards the end of the year.
Performance chase, and then you have a really typically a seasonal tailwind. So I'm pretty bullish into December, even with maybe the first day being rocky.
Yep. So it's
First day
still
was
all
definitely
about
rocky.
the Fed. Because I was thinking there is a time when a market can hit an inflection point where the reason the Fed is cutting becomes a problem for the markets. That's what I thought. With the jobs and everything else, there might come a time where purely Fed cuts or the backdrop is that there is some weakness in the market, in the economy. You don't see that?
I mean, I'd say that the shutdown put a blackout on data, and I think that created a bit of anxiety because, markets like visibility. But to me, the fact that claims have been behaving and the September jobs report kind of showed a bit of a recovery. I think the labor market's probably holding fine, but the Fed doesn't want that to worsen. But I think the inflation story is actually weakened a lot. So to me, the Fed would be cutting for the right reasons, which is as they look at the next 12 months, the tariff inflation impacts are fading, but there's risk on the job market. So
Yes, I was just about to say that, but there's still risk on the job market, Tom. Speaking of, job market. Guys, I don't have a job anymore, so thanks again. I really do appreciate Cliff coming in with a $10 super chat.
Give me money. Money me. Money now. Me, money needing a lot now.
Thank you, Cliff, for supporting the chaos tonight. Yes, with a $10 super chat. 100, Powell, not it. And my apologies, but I want to do it all over again and again and again, and I'm all vertical again. My vertical again. Oh my gosh, Cliff. Thanks again for supporting the chaos tonight with another fire chaotic drink. Thank you. Let's go back and see what else Tom Lee has to say about the weakness in the market. Mofos already took nearly all. Mofos get no seashells. Seashells. Oh my god, dude. Let's go.
I mean, I think it's cutting for the right reason, which is, real rates are tightening if they don't cut.
Here's what concerned me about a couple of weeks ago, Tom, with the market's behavior, and that was watching all of the AI high flyers dip and drop, and pretty precipitously in some cases, because it looked like the Fed wasn't going to cut. That raised questions about what was happening in the private markets, and it made me start to wonder, okay, are we looking at a lot of business models that don't work if the Fed doesn't continue to cut rates? Are these the business models that are driving and powering the market right now? That's the one thing that made me sit up and say, that's a little different.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of soul searching, Becky, in November, because we know leverage rose, and we know there was deleveraging in some markets like crypto, and we know margin debt's high. And I think that there was essentially a reset in November because the market had a 6% decline, but the AI stocks and the meme names and a lot of other names fell even more. So I think that position reset has been healthy, and I think many fund managers we talked to in November, in the midst of all that, kind of threw in the towel, thought the rest of the year was sort of a write-off, and now if December is strong, there's going to be a bit of performance chasing, and I think that's what you should typically expect in the final weeks of the year.
I thought it was when we saw Bitcoin sell off and sort of the high flyers sell off on the notion that Powell got hawkish at that one, whatever it was, that one meeting. And then Williams totally turned that around. And the Fed futures jumped, and it became clear they're definitely cutting again. And we got very little for that. Bitcoin should be back at 100 if it really is totally dependent on Fed easing. And if it's a debasement trade, which people say it is, we didn't get much. For now, everybody, you're sure that they're going to cut now. There was a time where we thought they weren't going to cut. What do we get for going back to cutting now?
A hawkish cut.
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin and crypto have been disappointing because they really took it in the gut in mid-October and then kind of got hit again when, you're right, when the odds of a Fed cut dropped. Bitcoin fell, and then now that the odds have recovered of a cut, they haven't quite recovered. I mean, I think that's still the lingering effects of that deleveraging that happened on October 10th. It's not that different than the wipeout that happened in 2022 with FTX. That took 8 weeks, so we're kind of emerging from that. That's 7 weeks in the rearview mirror. So maybe in another week or two, I think crypto has fully washed out, and that's when it starts to participate.
Yeah, wipeout's a bad word. If you could pick another one next time, Tom,
Yeah.
we don't. You had very aggressive targets for the S&P and Bitcoin by the end of the year. I mean, it'd be crazy to hit the Bitcoin target, for example. I don't know what that was. But 7,000 on the S&P is still something you think that can happen this year?
Yeah, I mean, 7,000 is only 2% for S&P. From here, I think 5% or maybe even 10% is possible in December. So I think a 7,200, 7,300 is likely for S&P.
Ask you not to do that. You're giving me a target and a time. Don't. It's not good for your career. Don't do that. You're going to be wrong one of these times. But you don't care, do you? You've been right enough.
Well, I'm just looking at probabilities, but you're right. We've been wrong plenty of times, Joe, so I'm okay being wrong too.
Okay. I never have been, really. I don't think so. That would be a big shocker for got back by the end of December, wouldn't you?
Yeah, in fact, I think it was looking good, like you said, over the weekend, and then we got a decline, sorry. Maybe because the Bank of Japan looks hawkish.
Yeah.
But I don't think the 4-year cycle, I don't think the Bitcoin high is in place. But you're right. We were too optimistic about this happening by December. But I do think Bitcoin can make an all-time high by the end of January. So I don't think we should think the highs are in place for Bitcoin or Ethereum or crypto. So a lot of it's going to depend on equities recovering, which we expect it to. And that helps the animal spirits. And I think a new Fed chair will help. And we have, as Becky said, when people got worried about a hawkish Fed, that kind of hurts the discount models, the discounted cash flow models like AI models, but it hurts crypto models too. So if we have a dovish Fed, that's really a tailwind.
Tom, is there a point, though, Joe and I were talking about this in the last block, is there a point where a Fed that's too dovish scares the markets because they're worried about inflation?
Yes. The markets don't want the Fed to lose credibility. And the bond market will kind of protest if the Fed is too dovish. But I think when I look at Fed fund futures, especially implied inflation, the bond market's more dovish than the Fed. So it looks like the Fed is behind. And that's why I think cuts are necessary.
Are you in town? Where are you?
Yeah, it's pretty. I was just thinking.
I'm actually in Tokyo.
He's in
Otherwise,
Japan.
I'd be visiting with you in person.
That's magic. Yeah, otherwise you'd be here, I was wondering. Yeah. It could be anywhere.
Looks pretty.
Yeah, it does. All right. Wow. No delay whatsoever. If you were like down the street on Zoom, there'd be a delay or something. But
All right, guys. So that's the latest and greatest from Tom Lee as of today, the first trading day of December. So I had to show you guys that one right off the bat. And all in all, he's feeling like I'm feeling, man. I feel like it's all just kind of like babies, overselling. Yeah, whatever. Stand out of the way. Of course, Tom Lee also making a huge purchase today. Tom's, of course, Fundstrat, BitMine taking a huge purchase of Ethereum today. I forget how much it was. It was ridiculous this morning. And, of course, MicroStrategy as well. The DATs are still buying and catching up with you guys in the chat. Thanks again, Cliff, for, of course, supporting the channel tonight. Thanks again to Cliff. And GG, cheers as well to you as well. Anyone else partaking a little drinky poo on a Monday? It's kind of a weird day to take a drink, but you know what? It just feels kind of right today. Weakness in the market. Mofos already took nearly all. Mofos get no seashells, says Cliff. Yes. Anyone here have YouTube now and how Robo cut grass under the snow? Your robots are gonna cut grass under the snow? They're gonna go underneath the snow and cut it? What the hell? What the hell? I guess the robots can do anything these days. Yep, they can do anything these days. I'm fairly sure don't use electric straight diesel spinning blades only, but still powered by robots. Okay. Mowing in the snow. Nah, take a day off. Yeah, take a day off, Brave. Exactly, 100%. I don't do anything in the snow. Nothing. Wow, Tom Lee, FTX equals 10/10/2025? Question mark? I don't know what you mean by that. To do it, okay, Tom Lee has some, chaos. He did say he definitely has some, he's definitely got some animal spirits, that's for sure. Holy ego, Batman, says Scrubulous the Scrub. Yes, holy ego, Batman. Pointing at you, Tom Lee. And Tom Bahama Lee, save us, says Jake the Snake. Of course, my favorite snake, the king of Ohio, guys. Don't forget to, of course, Brave the Snake and Brave the Snake? Braveheart and Jake the Snake.
Oh, hail the king of Ohio!
all right. Where are we at? My code is delaying me from saying anything pre-incriminating. Brave the Snake. I know. I've had a little too much to drink tonight. It's fine. We're doing okay, guys. We're doing okay. Babe, new band name, called it. It says, I miss my guitar. I'll get back to the studio eventually, guys. I'm still enjoying my time in Florida. Basically, I'm just basing it on whether or not we're going to have a breakout or not. If we do not have a breakout at the end of the year, I'm not going back until winter's over. I don't know. Shit's tough. Yes, shit is tough, Jake. Shit is tough. Speaking of shit is tough, let's do some doom scrolling tonight. Unfiltered, unscrolled, unvetted doom scrolling. Doom scrolling tonight right now with my brother right out the top of the hour. Samson Mao. Yes, guys, this is almost 10. It's 10 o'clock. It is 10 o'clock. Holy crap. Samson Mao, my brother from another Mouth, saying companies with hard assets are full on reserves and are being attacked by the fractional rehypothecators. Accelerate your DCA. That's what I'm taking away from this, of course, from Samson Mao, my Otaku brother from another mother. And behind him, of course, is Michael Saylor. What if we start adding green dots? And he posted this yesterday, or the day before, I forget already. But we still don't know exactly what the green dots are going to be. Some have alluded to, if you guys didn't catch the morning live stream with me, that he was going to be purchasing some of his own stocks, or he's going to be just kind of stashing cash on the side to pay back these dividends. My guess is probably on the latter. Probably. All right. And fun fact, Bitcoin has never fallen below its electrical cost, and that floor right now is sitting at 71,000. Never has. 71,000. Wow, it's actually come down a bit, because I remember at the beginning of the year it was actually in the 80s. So we're definitely, of course, being able to mine cheaper here at the end of this year than we were at the beginning of the year. Commentary, Donald Trump posts, blah, 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 behind the scenes. I did see something new from Wen Wu, actually, and I'm on a great time right now. I'm drunk. I might as well read it, right? Wen Wu? Wei Wu. Wen Wu. Wen Wu.
When will then be now? Soon.
Yes. And here we go, guys. A new one from Wei Wu. There's a new one here somewhere. 2 hours ago. December 10th, that when we, no interest rate can't be declared. Interest rate drop all expectation. If interest rate go down, when everyone sell? Why everyone sell? Why? December, why everyone sell? Answer very simple. Rich nigga need price drop, so buy cheap. So when interest rate drop, price go up, and then you'll be more rich. Oh my God, damn it! Oh my God, Wen Wu, Wei Wu. Insane. It's Chappie. Oh my God, it's Chappie. Chappie's back, guys. I haven't seen Chappie in a minute. How you doing, Chappie? Boom. Happy Chappie, my favorite robot. I'm sorry, Cliff. But it's true. Chappie is my favorite robot. He is. He's freaking awesome. If you guys haven't seen Chappie, it's one of my favorite dystopian future movies of all time. Yeah. Chappie. Yeah, I can't be Googling while I'm drunk. All right. So Wen Wu says, Cliff, yes. We just did it. Happy, clappy, yes, Chappie. Those cheeks, clappy those cheeks. Oh my God, Jake. Hello, Chappie. Shall we play a game? If you guys haven't seen the movie, please do. It's a good one. All right. So
just chill out.
Wow, where'd they come from?
Drink a 7-Up. Eat a moon pie. Quit murdering people.
Of course, Officer Grady. That's, of course, wise words from the wisest, of course, of sheriffs. Oh, God. Okay, guys, let's check out the normies. How the normies doing tonight? They're still searching sports ball. Watch the sports ball. I actually watched some sports ball here recently. My IQ is lower now, and I'm drunk. Okay. Yeah.
What are you, stupid?
Yes. All right. So, guys, of course, we look at the normie search history based on a traditional grading scale. We give them A through F, and typically they only search for 3 things: that's sports, video games, and of course, celebrities. Let's see what they're doing today, based on a traditional grade scale against what anything. I literally do anything financially, anything financial related. All right, here we go. Giants vs. Patriots, sports. Patriots, sports. LP, IDK, probably sports, some way or the other. Weather tomorrow. So much snow is expected. Tons of snow happening back at the studio, guys. Thank God I'm in a simulation right now. Let's see if we can break the simulation. It's actually pretty good. It's actually pretty good. I tried really hard to break it, but how about if we hold some drinks? Can I break the simulation then? Oh, there you go, guys. You can see I'm in the simulation. Yep. Okay, you can see a little bit. I've been out of the studio now for about 2 or 3 weeks. It's been great. Of course, avoiding all of the freaking weather in the north. Thank God. And of course, people are searching for the snow. All right, how much snow? Too much snow. That's all I know. Jackson Dart, post Patriots, Giants, sports ball, sports, Hawks, Pistons, of course, sports ball, sports. All normies love their sports. All love the sports. All love the sports. All love the sports. All love the sports. And the whole entire search history is basically all sports ball for the normies today, not caring or noticing our space whatsoever. I don't care about financial literacy. I am an insane person. I apologize, guys. Oh my God. All right. So anyway, we also look at Bitcoin. The normies are still looking at Bitcoin at all whatsoever in the last 7 days. And whoa, look at this. As of this morning, we had 100. We haven't seen 100 on the index in a very long time. More than likely because we fell underneath 90K yet again today. That's probably why we saw that. Other than that, it's been the record lows we've ever seen on the peaks, right? 27. Damn, 27. That's the lowest we've seen, guys. I was complaining about the 30s. Here we are, the 20s on the peaks. That's terrible. Terrible. Of course, in the last 7 days. So a lot of the interest is definitely dying down, getting close to the holidays. Of course, people are paying attention. The only thing that really matters to them and their family, which is, of course, those extravagant gifts they're going to pay. With what money? With what money? With what money? With what money? They don't have no money to do it. Of course, they're doing it on buy now, pay later, and Affirm, Klarna. And, buy now, pay now with no interest until 6 months. PayPal, all of those things. People are looking at it, of course, buying things now and pay later. All right. Okay, guys. So that's what's going on with the normies. Again, nothing's really new, and I'm really excited to see this one. Holy crap. Is this the day? No way. What? No, there's no way this is today. What? It is. That's December 1st. The whole damn day is just Bitcoin. Guys, it happened. I gotta go back to 7 day here. It happened. Oh my God. I've been talking about this for the entire year. About how XRP has been so separated against Bitcoin and the rest of the other major altcoins, right? This is, of course, Ethereum, Doge, Bitcoin, XRP, and Solana, all colors represented on the top here. Look at this. Oh my God. Let me get out of the way here. Holy crap. I am just flabbergasted, honestly. This is insane. So yeah, Bitcoin's definitely taken the king crypto on Google. I've never seen Ethereum or XRP ever this low on Bitcoin searches. On Google searches here for the normies. That's huge. I'm going to give you guys some perspective. If you haven't been following this with me over the year, last 2 years I've been showing this. Look at this. Look how close we were. Bitcoin almost on par with XRP leading up to the ETF. ETF came out and there's no interest whatsoever. That's crazy. And here we are, guys. King Crypto lives on.
We're gonna win so much, you may even get tired of winning.
I'm tired of winning, guys. I'm tired. All right. I think that's it. I'm done. Screw this. Oh my god. That's insane. That is the lowest level I've ever seen for XRP in search history. It's the lowest level. All right, and with that, guys, I will take us back to full center circle. We're back at the Bitcoin price action on the chart. Looking pretty tight. Definitely oversold like AF, as per usual. Now making a new range, more than likely. Between 83,000 was the bottom of our wick. We didn't stand, again, I covered that this morning. We only lasted down there less than 15 minutes. So I don't know if you want to really cover that, but it is the lowest wick we have on the chart. And of course, 87 currently was our top during Powell's little speech over at, was it Harvard? I forget already. I already forget. All right. So yeah, where are we likely to head for Bitcoin's price action in tonight? I'm just gonna do it, guys. I'm gonna do it. Hopefully, my drunken state will not demean the appreciation or depreciation of Bitcoin price action. So, usually I do this with the entire, ritual and all the things, right? All the things. I can at least put the ritual sticks in place, right? It kind of worked over the weekend. We got completely just derailed by the bears in some spectacular fashion to the downside within the last 10 hours left to go, just to continue the baseline target, right? Who else can do that? Predict this with 97% certainty over the entire course of a freaking weekend? No one. I don't know anyone. I've been watching crypto on YouTube for 6 years. I don't know anyone doing that, and we do it somehow. Yeah, ridiculous. All right, so we're going to clean this up, and we're going to do another pass on Bitcoin. Let's see what's likely to happen. Did I just delete something important? I think I did, probably. All right, so we're going to see where Bitcoin's likely to go tonight. With, of course, the way we do it here in the live stream. I usually do the whole song and dance with the ritual. I do not have a candle. I do not have a permit to burn money in my parents' home.
What are you, stupid?
Yes, I'm grounded from burning things. I'm a pyromaniac. All right, so yeah, we're looking at this 9, 12, 3, guys. If you guys do not know, these numbers are very important. They basically show you where all the volatility is in the markets. 9, of course, being the markets open here in the United States and roughly close enough to the other side of the world on average. And then, 12 is intraday trading. Again, the other side of the world inversely from Eastern Standard Time. It's pretty close. Although right now I think it's closer to, no, it's still the closest. Yeah, it's still the closest. Even if you go back to Central Time, I think you're behind too far. All right. So yeah, we're going to put this, of course, into play here. 9 p.m. We're going to put that in check there. Yep, I'm on the right day there. We're looking pretty damn tight, though. Look at this on the 15-minute. Looking pretty damn tight. More than likely, because we're so oversold, I can only expect one direction. I really can. Although we're only in a bull pennant, not a bull flag. So don't get too excited. We can still break down, retest some of these lows, the 84, 85, and of course the 84 flat. Yeah, 85, 84, something like that. 85.5, whatever. It's more than likely to play out tonight, although we could see the lower lows of the likes of 80,500 or even flat 80,000 if, of course, the bears want to send us back down that way. Let's take a look and see what's going on with the order books while we're talking about it. If I can get back over there. Where are we at? There we go. Let's jump back over the order books real quick, see what's going on. Kimba, the White Stone Lion, bringing us the order books for free over on YouTube. And, of course, anime reference for those who do not know. I love it, and I like to have it on my channel. And I don't pay for something I get for free.
What are you, stupid?
I just don't. It's my general rule, and Scrub knows that. Scrub, you know what I'm talking about. I'll try Photo P, I swear I'll try Photo P soon. All right. So yeah, we're looking at 86,500 on Bitcoin currently. We had a few big sellers, but nothing quite near a million buy or sell in those ranges here in the recent time frame. So it looks like everything, we just got about 2 million sold off actually at the very top there. Other than that, it's been pretty stale actually. It looks like the foreign markets might just want to kind of wait and see how America handles their rate cut. Or maybe the second trading day. I don't know. But it's really slow right now. I mean, this is dead. The market's basically dead tonight. All right, let's take a look and see what's going on. Just zooming in real quick on the order books here. Showing you guys the current range, where we are at. This is what we're looking at for the longs. Basically all being destroyed as of today. All these new fresh longs we had, all destroyed around $90,000. We now have to reclaim these as they're all being built up as we speak. And of course, all of the short sellers are jumping in on there right now. So all these, of course, new ones are all shorts. All the old ones are all longs, and they're all wiped out and liquidated. To the upside, we have a lot. We have quite a lot, actually. More than we do below us. Although the brightest level we have is right around 90K. Is it 95? No, I'm sorry, 95K. 95K right there. Still range bound between 94, maybe 94.5 now. We did lose a little bit of ground over the last, couple days. Right there was definitely the capitulation moment where we started losing ground at 95K. So about 94,000 flat is probably where we're at. And of course, our bottom right now is sitting at where we bounced this morning. 84.5, I think it was. Maybe even lower. 82? I forget. But we were only down for 15 minutes, so I don't know if it really counts. I have it marked on here anyway. So that's where we're at. So yeah, you guys see it. This is where we're at tonight. Let's see where we're headed tomorrow. Tomorrow with a bull pennant in play for, of course, the foreign market open. Now getting near about an hour away from the intraday trading on the other side of the world. All right, let's see what's going on. All right, guys, let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Okay, so we have, of course, all these in play here. If you guys, of course, following along with me, you know, it's all psychological. All the markets are just psychological. It's all silly nonsense, right? That's the way I look at it. Anyway, and it seems to work with us almost every single day. We do this with Chaos Magic. And I don't have the Chaos Magic ready to go, the ritual, but I'm going to do it anyway. I think it's still living on within me, although last weekend kind of scared me a little bit. Within the final countdown, we lost it. It sucks. All right. So anyway, let's go. Likelihood of Bitcoin going into a baseline target. Let's see where we're likely to go. All right. Baseline target for Bitcoin. We're just going to play this on out, probably. Maybe we break this up to the outside because we're oversold AF. 86,000, 87,000. Maybe get a retest of that right around midnight, 12:30, 1 o'clock. Drop that down this channel here. This, of course, this trend line for the flag, the bull pennant. And we'll probably lose that after double topping right around 1:30, 2 o'clock. Start to lose that and then fall around 3 a.m. It's typical. We see this happen all the time. I call it all the time. It pretty much always happens. But more than likely, we'll probably lose the structure before we get to the end of the structure, where, of course, this all lands out. It's insane how this always lands out in this time frame. But anyway, we're sitting at 86,500. We do one more retest around 3 o'clock. We're going to lose it either way. Coming back down and probably going to land somewhere between 85. That's going to be 5 a.m. there. It's a little late, but I'll take it anyway. Maybe a little bit of a constructive climb back up, or right around 9 a.m. All right, so let's just keep that for our baseline. I think I could have done better, though, with the timing. Let me do it one more time. Something like this. And we would have just fallen right there. Yeah, I mean, it's about the same. I'm going to keep it. Screw it. I'll keep it. All right, and then, of course, our bear case scenario over the evening is going to be, of course, losing the structure pretty early, almost like right now, actually. Right around 11 o'clock, probably. Retesting, losing the trend line, and then coming back down around midnight. Maybe flash crash to 85.3, and then try to recover, lose that right around 1:30. Try to recover one more time and lose that even further, 84. And the lowest we're probably going to go to is probably going to be a flash crash back down to 80,000 flat. I hate to see that, but that's, of course, where the charts are showing me. The worst case scenario would be a slow recovery back up to 83, 84 before the market open here in the United States. It's going to be baseline and bear on the board now. We've got, of course, the probabilities also for the bull case scenario coming in for Bitcoin tonight. Again, oversold, ridiculous, whatever. You guys know how I feel about all this. It's absurd. The fundamentals of Bitcoin have not changed. 86,000, of course, running into 88,000 into right around 1 o'clock in the morning. maybe even as early as 12:30, 1 o'clock, something like that. Yep, they're at 1 a.m. Maybe double top here, and I see a little bit of a breakout towards 91,000. I don't know if we're going to get much higher than that. This is around 5 o'clock in the morning. We're definitely going to lose some sort of structure here up until around we get to the early morning open for United States. 86,000, no, of course, coming back up to retest, losing 90K and going back to 89. Guys, we really got to flip back to 93. We're so far away from where we got to be above, of course, the fire sale target. Guys, we're still in the fire sale. We're still in the fire sale. This bull case scenario I'm showing you guys right now is not even that bull case, not even that bullish. It's really not that bullish. It's kind of baseline, honestly. It's kind of mid, as the kids would say, right? It's kind of mid. All right, so then I'm screwing. I'm gonna do it anyway without, of course, the ritual. No, without the ritual. I'm still going to do it. Screw it. I'm still going to do it. Baseline and, of course, a bull, baseline, bear, all on the board right now. I'm going to do super bull and super bear. I normally don't do this unless I do the actual ritual. I haven't done this in weeks. Screw it. I'm going to do it anyway. Super bear is scary, but it's not super scary because we can only really go back down to, like what I said earlier, energy cost of Bitcoin right now sitting around $71,000 Bitcoin. 71,000, of course, being the super bear target. I'm going to call for tonight's live stream. Super bear represented in brown right there, of course, super bear. Super bull case scenario. Let's just smash on through here. Let's go back to up to 100,000, 104. Why not? 108, 109, 110. Bouncing off there, coming back down, and then retesting 99 up to 100,000 by the morning open. Sure, why not? Let's do it. Screw it. Whatever. There you go. We're so oversold. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. One of these days, one of these super bulls are going to purchase, of course, a ridiculous amount of Bitcoin, melt everyone's faces. Speaking of which, how is Mr. 100's wallet doing? How is Mr. 100's wallet doing? And before I get into that little search real quick, while I'm slightly intoxicated, there we go. Slightly more intoxicated. I'm going to show you guys, of course, the Mr. 100 wallets and his purchases. I'm curious to see if he's made any purchases over the last few days, since we haven't looked at that since Friday. I feel like we're probably going to go baseline bull just because we're so oversold. It is ridiculous if we do not do so. That's just my personal stance on this, but again, you see how our mileage varies here. About 97% accuracy for the channel. All right. So again, I'm calling for that baseline bull. Something like right around here. Let me do this real quick. Boom, something like this. We start off a little bearish tonight, maybe. Doing that, and of course, adding up a little bit more bullish. Something like baseline bull. All right. Let's get back in the chat real quick. Catch up with you guys and check on Mr. 100 Maximus Crypto. Thank you again. You are the Ritual Otaku. Oh my God, Cliff, you made my night. Yes, the ritual lives within me. I just light a fire in my belly with some alcohol. All right. So that's what's going on right now with the order books. Thanks again, guys, for coming out tonight. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Maximus Diamond Hands, of course, here catching the falling knife for us, so we do not have to juggle it ourselves. I'm not back in the studio, or else I would do the whole act. I don't have the knives here, and of course, where I'm staying. But yeah, Bitcoin and the alts are still an uptrend. Technically, there's some hopium. My peeps, it could still turn around, but don't go catching them damn knives. That's right. Don't be juggling them knives, catching them falling knives. Stay strong and hodl. That's all you gotta do, guys, of course, because it's going up forever.
The point is, if you have the superior asset, it's going up forever, Laura.
Yes.
Forever.
Right.
Forever. All right, let's take a look at the top 100 Bitcoin rich list. No, Mr. 100 watts. Yes, Mr. 100. The other 100. Mr. 100. Let's see. Look at his purchases. I'm human. I swear, I'm human. Human. Here we go. Okay. All right. So we're looking at Bitcoin sitting right now at his wallet. He sold off 910 Bitcoin. Damn. On the 29th, and he hasn't made any purchases since. This ridiculous fraction of an amount there. I feel like this is definitely a bot's wallet. This is very strange behavior for any wallet. And it's not the first time I ever mentioned that either. It definitely feels like a bot's wallet. 118 Bitcoin right there, though. Wow, on the 27th, and if you guys don't remember all the bigger ones he did on the 26th and 25th, that was crazy. He purchased 300, 300, 600, 300, 600, 300, 600, 100. Of course, Mr. 100 doing his thing, and he sold off about pretty much everything he bought in. It looks like he already sold everything off. 1,400. We covered that on Friday, and then this new one he had on Saturday. It looks like 910. He sold the rest of it off. So it looks like it's not really going to take us anywhere. It looks like, to be honest, with this person or this bot's wallet. All right. So that's what's going on tonight with Bitcoin and crypto assets. Hope you guys have a great night. I'm going to catch some Z's and maybe finish this drink right here. But before I go, let's catch up with the chat and see how you guys are doing for the rest of the night. Have a great night. Legendary Nebs guy heading out early. Later Nebs, saggy scrote. Saggy scrote Nebs. Oh my god, the stuff you guys say when everyone leaves the room is insane. Ruthless. All right, what else we got here? You are ritual or the ritual. Thanks again, Cliff, for saying that made my night. My hands would have so many holes in them if I had them. Of course, Jake the Snake has replaced all of his hands with that tragic firework accident he had back in the 4th of July. Was that last year or this year? I don't remember anymore. I feel like it was last year because you already blew off your hands before this 4th of July. I'm pretty sure you blew off your hands before this 4th of July because I did a short on the 4th of July and you already said you blew your hands off. I don't know anymore. I don't know what happened anymore, man. This year has gone by so fast. I don't know. It's weird. All right. So, honey, can you keep it down? Your father and I are trying to sleep and you have been bingo at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Oh my God, the bingo, man. The bingo. Guys, I did a bingo the other night. It was with like Christmas trees and there were no numbers. It said bingo at the top, but there were no numbers. So it was like it didn't even say like B Christmas tree. It was just the Christmas tree. Oh my God, bingo.
What are you, stupid?
I got some trauma from bingo night the other night. Actually, I'm not even making this shit up. Gertrude whipped us last time you kept us up. How do you know? Jake, how do you know this? Oh my God. It's been a long ass year since Jake the Snake. It has been a long ass year, man. It really is. I'm so glad I have you, Cliff, and the others. Nebs, Gamma, Ben. I can't do this without you. You guys are freaking awesome. Strawberry Dragons. Freaking, oh my God, some of the OGs out there too. We haven't seen in a while. Truck Dono. Remember Truck Dono? I can't. I love you guys. Yes, a long year it has been, says Cody. 100%, Cody. 100%. I don't know how we could do it without you. I don't know how we could do it. We are a kin. I just know it. I know, man. I can't wait to spend some time with you guys over in Thailand. That's, of course, what we tell ourselves, right? Every single day. Yep, that's what we tell ourselves.
What are you, stupid?
One day we'll be in Chiang Mai, Thailand, sitting on, you know, in the high rises in a pool somewhere. Trogdor the Burninator. Only you guys. Oh my God. Only you guys get me. That's freaking awesome. I love you, Jake. 100%. You guys are all brothers and sisters. Speaking of which, Gamma Goddess, I love you guys too. My Chaos fam, love you so much as well, Gamma. Thanks again, guys, for all you do. I'm going to call it that. Bitcoin recovering back up to 86,300. Can we continue this run? At least baseline. Baseline's not even that base. It's not. It's actually a little bearish. But I'm calling for baseline bull. Either way, I'm calling for baseline bull. I think it's oversold AF. I don't know why I keep scrolling over this, but God, this is getting ridiculous, guys. When are we going to just get this bull run going? I had to actually take some losses today. I don't know if I told you guys this, actually. I realized I overdrew my account this morning when I made that purchase into Zcash.
What are you, stupid?
Yes. So I had to take some losses and, of course, pay some of my bills. Yeah, that sucked. But you know what? It is what it is. We'll, of course, fight to live another day. Yep, fight to live another day. And it's still a big bag either way. So I'm waiting. I'm all waiting patiently. I'm sure you guys are waiting patiently as well. You're doing it the best way you can. So have a good night, guys. Stay safe. Don't do anything stupid. Don't do anything stupid. the institutions could, of course, flip this entire thing around at a moment's notice, and you don't want to be left behind with a huge bag of nothing, right? Huge bag of zeros, right? So yeah. So have a good one, and I'm gonna go finish this drink and maybe go to the bathroom. Later, guys. Later.
What are you, stupid?
Yes. Later.
Here we go. Gamma. Giannis.
Fly me to the moon. Let me trade a montage. Let me see what freedom's like without money and gold bars. In other words, gold Nike. Oh! In other words, let's make history. Oh! Fill my wallet with more coins and let me huddle forever more and more and more and more and more. I'm on board. Hollywood talking is yours. In other words, I choose you. In other words, I love you.
Snakes that have wings have hands? What are you talking about? I don't have any more fortune cookies, guys, so I'm gonna use an old one. What is this one? What's this say? Maxim for life. You get treated in life the way you teach people to treat you. What the fuck does that even mean? I don't know. That's a weird one, guys, and I'm breaking the simulation. Yes, Tinfoil Hat Tuesday tomorrow, guys. Don't forget, Tinfoil Hat Tuesday. If I can't get a Hell Ben, I'm, of course, just going to ask for the traditional, Tinfoil Hat Tuesday crew to come on out. That's, of course, Gamma, Cody, and Nebs. Happy to see you guys tomorrow. It's gonna be a good one either way. we're gonna make through it, guys. We're gonna get through this. Have a good one, and peace. More aliens. Oh God, I hope not.